Thirds of workers are drinking more due to the stress or pressures related to their job.
And as thrill seekers take to the streets of a Spanish bull running festival, we're asking, is it time to ditch this tradition?
Good morning. Cam Norrie is carrying GB hopes into the second week at Wimbledon after he came through a 5-set thriller to make the quarter-finals. It was the end of the road, though, for Sonny Cartel. And at Silverstone, it was a maiden triumph for Lando Norris at the British Grand Prix.
Join me later for a look at the weather for the forthcoming days, with temperatures set to be climbing as we head throughout this week.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Monday morning. Welcome to the programme. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well,
so you had a very busy day yesterday, didn't you?
I hadn't got much sleep last night with Nana's engagement party last night.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was nice, very good, full of very nice people, and yeah, it was all super.
She looked very glam in her gold dress.
Yes, she did look very glam, has to be said, and yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you had a lovely time.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did as well. They're probably still out doing that.
Hey, I'm looking, you're going to have a lovely time this weekend, your big day, again,
Yes.
wedding
But this
again.
is the real one.
This is not the real one. The real one was when you were legally married.
No, this is the church weddings. This is the real thing. This is walking down the aisle exchanging rings and things.
But you've done...
And the big white dress.
What have you done already?
The legal, civil
So
service.
you're married. How many times do you want to get married?
Twice.
Right. Here's an article in the
Why
Times
do it
today.
once when you can do it twice?
More couples are opting to marry first and put on a big party later, which is exactly what you're doing. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm just very in fashion.
Yeah.
Really.
Were you
Times.
invited, Aidan?
No, I wasn't,
Yeah,
but
funny,
it doesn't
yeah.
matter. She has my support completely. But also, can I just say about my parents, they got married in about 1969, and there's no record of it anywhere. There's always doubts over whether it actually happened. And I think it did. And they said, I said to them one day, I said, did you celebrate afterwards? And they said, yeah, after we went to work, after the wedding, we had a Chinese in the evening, so they knew how to live.
They knew how to do it. Do you know what? My favourite night out is a Chinese.
Yeah, it's good.
And there are less and less Chinese restaurants about. They're closing.
I paid 47 quid the other day for 3 dishes. That one in...
Where were you ordering from?
Just one in South London somewhere. It wasn't even pretty average as well. Special fried rice is my thing.
You can't get a good Chinese takeaway. It's quite hard.
It is quite hard. It is quite hard. I do have to say that. Although Aidan, he gets good food wherever he goes, but he was complaining to me this morning about the bill price he had to pay last night.
It was very emotional.
Very emotional.
Yeah, I cried when I saw
Where
it.
were you last night?
Wandsworth. Say Bruce.
He was with his beloved and having a nice meal out, but a meal for 2 of them, how much?
£100.
By 3?
300 quid.
292.
On a Sunday evening. What were you eating? What were you drinking?
So, no, well, there's quite a bit of stuff there, I have to say.
Well,
Well,
for
there you
your
go,
wedding, I hope you're dishing out sausage rolls or something, or just...
Oh, we got croque monsieur in the early hours.
Have you?
Which I thought was a nice little touch because we're in France.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, and then steak for dinner.
OK, if you have wedding tales to tell us, share with us this morning, please do. Our top story in politics, Keir Starmer is facing a fresh backbench revolt over controversial plans to overhaul special needs education.
Well, there are reports that ministers are poised to scrap the system which ensures that pupils with special needs such as autism and ADHD get personalised support at school. But senior party figures warn the reforms risk becoming welfare Mark II.
Now, all of this comes as the government is facing mounting pressure to balance the books on public finances, but with millions of children potentially losing legally guaranteed support, furious parents and campaigners are fighting back. Is Labour steering towards another internal clash?
Well, joining us now is former political advisor Oscar Reddrop. Good to see you this morning, Oscar. And this is controversial, isn't it?
It is, and we're just going to see this, though, time and time and time again after that welfare vote, revolt within the party. Ultimately, it's backseat driving. I mean, we have number 10, number 11 are being backseats kind of driven by their backbench MPs in the Labour Party now. And it's interesting because, I mean, in fairness to the Education Department, I mean, these reforms don't have any meat on the bone as yet. And yet already campaigning MPs and campaigning organisations are getting their punches in early because of just how soft the underbelly is now of number 10 and number 11. And the real difference is, because I remember with Boris, these kind of moments and days where your political capital and your goodwill is just being drained. But you've got to remember, there was a personal loyalty to Boris in 2019 when he got all those MPs elected. It's quite evident, wrongly or rightly. I have a bit of sympathy for Keir Starmer on this, because it was only a year ago that he won this huge landslide victory for all these MPs. There's clearly no loyalty or love towards him or Rachel Reeves, and that puts them in a really, really difficult position. What I would say, in terms of controlling your narrative, your message, the issues of the day, I mean, do we really, after that welfare bill, do you really want to be taking on children with disabilities at this moment in time? I mean...
This is a good thing, Oscar, you're talking about here. I often look and I say, why is he picking a fight there? Why is he choosing a battle there? He doesn't have to do this. No one in their right mind could believe what he's trying to do is popular, so why the heck do it?
This is the really depressing answer, Eamonn, and I think we all know it's coming. We all know it's coming. The Labour government, because they're quite powerless at the moment, have in many ways run out of ideas. And so I think this is they're scrabbling around trying to find savings where they can. This probably isn't going to be palatable, and so it will be tax rises. But that's just, I mean, at this point, that feels inevitable.
But like you say, if they thought that taking money away from disabled adults was bad and that rebellion was bad, imagine how it's going to be when you've got the same sort of plan but with disabled children. I mean, backbenchers just won't stand for it, will they? And now they've got a taste of rebellion. What does this mean for future votes or anything that's deemed to be controversial?
Absolutely. So as a result of that, the general direction, what we are being steered towards now is these backseat driving Labour MPs to the left of the party, or, you know, traditional Labour values, and they're saying, no, you can't cut money, you can't make savings there, we won't let you make savings there, tax rises. Like, that is where the left of the Labour Party and those backbench MPs, who are the ones in power as we sit here now, ultimately, that might change if number 10 and 11 have a good few weeks, but as we sit here and now, they are driving this government towards tax rises. And in fairness, and I wasn't a huge fan of him, but Rishi Sunak, he feels like complete ancient history now. He called that before the general election. Certain political parties, they revert to type when they lose track of ideas and they lose their imagination and goodwill. And when Labour revert to type, it is, you pay for things by raising taxes.
Right, talking about paying for things, all this talk, oh, we've no money, we can't afford this. I don't know what bill is associated with this latest educational matter, but 100 million quid to Syria on Friday, you know, suddenly there was no problem finding that, was there?
Yeah, it's a very good point. And the Reform Party, elements of the Tory Party, and oddly, in the intersect of it all, parts of the Labour Party believe that actually, like, home is where we need to be concentrating on more than ever. And actually this idea of shelling out and kind of foreign aid, like, even though the Labour Party made noises around it, I think brought and pledged to bring it down slightly. I mean, when we are penny pinching at this moment in time, and inevitably those tax rises will come, but mark it, our taxes are going to go up with this Labour government. Things like that will really stick in people's throats, for sure.
And what do you think we're looking at, Oscar, in terms of those tax rises? Because Rachel Reeves has really boxed herself in, hasn't she, with previous promises that she made. Do you think she'll stick to them?
No. But I think, you know, without going back to last week and the difficult position she was in, well, there it is. I think part of that, what you're seeing on your screen now, you know, personal, professional, all mixed together, but part of that is probably because she knows she's in between a rock and a hard place of the sword in her back amongst her backbench MPs if she doesn't hike taxes. And the electorate, who were promised at the general election, don't you dare touch my taxes, the tax burden on my back is eye-wateringly high. And she's caught in between those two immovable objects.
Yeah, but what was the promise they made? Not to raise taxes for hard-working people, which always implies that if you earn 100 grand a year, you're not hard-working.
Yeah. Exactly. And I always found Starmer's working people this, working people that, just unbelievably cringeworthy. Like, who are you to tell someone if they're working whatever, you know,
Yeah.
they need to stay away from that as much as possible. But I think we'll hear less and less of that now as they roll the pitch for the inevitable tax rises that are to come.
OK, Oscar, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
Stay
Oscar.
with us and we'll speak to you again after 7 o'clock. If you've got a question for Oscar or if you have a point to make, remember, have your say. That's what it's all about. And we'll reflect that as the show goes on.
Now, can you believe it? It's 20 years today since the devastating terrorist attacks on the London transport system.
52 people died. Almost 800 were injured. 4 terrorists detonated the bombs on the London Underground and on a double-decker bus.
Well, our Home and Security editor, Mark White, takes a personal look back at the tragedy that he lived through and reported on, an atrocity that marked the first use of suicide bombings in the UK.
Something's gone badly wrong. We really don't know at the moment. It's loud bangs.
We need ambulances and water to King's Cross. I understand what you're saying. And Russell Square. Russell Square is we're going to have it as a major incident, so we'll get ambulances to you wherever I can. Okay, thanks, mate. Go down to the home.
An attack in the heart of our capital city. The London bombings were designed to strike commuters at the height of rush hour. 3 underground trains and a bus were the targets. But as shocking as this mass casualty attack was, it also marked a sinister turn in the threat Britain now faced. The first suicide bombings in this country. So many people here in London and far beyond have stories to tell about the horrors of 7/7. For me, it was quite literally the day Islamist terrorism landed on my doorstep. Around the time of 7/7, I was living in this apartment block. That iconic red double-decker bus blew up just yards further up the road there. And Russell Square, another blast site, is just across the road. It was a Piccadilly line train between King's Cross and Russell Square which saw the greatest loss of life. 26 died here.
I'm the supervisor at Aldgate. We've just had a big explosion. There appears to be something ahead of the train in the track.
There may be fatalities. We don't know anything about that.
Another 7 were killed near Aldgate Station in East London. 6 died at Edgware Road Station in West London. And 13 lost their lives when a double-decker bus was blown up at Tavistock Square, just yards from the site of the blast at Russell Square. Russell Square was my local tube station. On 7/7, I was fortunate to be on a day off. Otherwise, around the time of the bombing, I'd have been right here trying to catch a westbound Piccadilly line train. So many of us feel fortunate that fate intervened that day. But as well as the 52 who died, almost 800 were injured, and thousands of others will never forget what they saw. I ended up reporting live from the roof of my apartment building as the full horror of those events unfolded.
Looking down onto Russell Square, high up on a rooftop here, looking down onto Russell Square tube station at the moment. There's a row of about 20 ambulances immediately outside the tube station. Also, fire rescue vehicles, firefighters are down in Russell Square tube station itself. There are numerous, what are obviously doctors in these familiar orange boiler suits as well, either going down into the tunnel or emerging with casualties.
Those were murderous attacks on London, on our city, that affected so many people so deeply. I think it's really important 20 years on that our focus is on all of those people affected. The other thing my mind turns to are the emergency services and others who stepped forward on that day, and they and the families and the victims. What strikes me is how they're still carrying the effects of that day through to today and for the rest of their lives.
As well as the first suicide bombings, 7/7 marked the advent for the UK of more sophisticated terror cells aimed at causing so-called spectacular attacks. 2 decades on, the UK's most senior counter-terrorism officer says the threat picture has mostly moved away from the more sophisticated plots to an era of lone wolf attacks, individuals still willing to die for their twisted ideology and still looking to cause maximum harm.
So we still see the Islamist threat as our main threat here in the United Kingdom. And with an ever-increasing and unstable world as well, we do see terrorist groups overseas beginning to have an influence on terrorism threats in near Europe and of course here in the UK. So Islamist remains our main threat. And I think the online environment, the world environment, adds a whole new layer of challenge to the threat that we face.
I know it sounds a bit like a cliche, but I honestly can't believe that 20 years have passed since the horrors of the London bombings, a day when the 52 innocent lives represented here were so murderously cut short, and the lives of so many others forever changed. Mark White, GB News at the 7/7 Memorial.
It's amazing to think that 20 years have passed, and when you think about 20 years ago, where were you? School?
Yeah, primary school, yeah.
And I was on holiday. I was in Portugal at the time, and I remember there was a real sense of fear. Everybody was frightened about London or flying back to London or being involved in what was going on around London. And things changed after that.
Yeah.
Have they still changed? Do people still remember as gone or forgotten? Your views very much welcomed. Have your say.
I was watching the documentary last night on Netflix, and I really recommend, actually, if you are looking for something to watch, it's called Attack on London, Hunting the 7/7 Bombers, and it is so well done. They've got survivors, one of whom we're going to speak to later on in the programme, actually Dan Biddle, but they've got survivors at the heart, and they kind of tell the story of where they were, and then it's police and firefighters, and it tells the whole story. It's so well done.
Yeah.
It does a really good job. So do watch that if you've got some spare time today. 20 years on, can you believe it?
17 minutes past 6 o'clock. Thanks for your company this morning on radio, on television, online. Let's give you a weather update and, well, certainly in London.
It's a bit of a miserable picture today,
It's beginning to pour down heavy rain. You know, that sort of wet rain.
I know. I faked tan this morning and that's all gone.
Oh, God. Anyway. Jonathan Vaughtry, good morning.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Many of us can look forward to a fine and settled week to come with plentiful amounts of sunshine, all courtesy of this area of high pressure that's going to be building in from the Atlantic. It's not quite reached all areas just yet, so there is this lingering weather front across the far southeast of England with some heavy rain first thing. Also, just a few showers pushing through from North Wales, parts of Merseyside, Cheshire region, and a few showers will also generally linger across North Sea coasts. But elsewhere, the sunshine should break through during today, and it will feel relatively pleasant overall compared to the rather cloudy skies we saw over the weekend. Temperatures generally ranging around mid to high teens across parts of Scotland, but we do have quite a brisk northwesterly wind coming in, so it probably will make it feel a touch cooler than what these values may suggest otherwise. But if you manage to get out of the breeze and in that sunshine, it should be pleasant nonetheless. Temperatures further towards the south likely to climb into the 20 degrees of Celsius, around 23 as your highs for Cardiff and London. We could see a few more heavy showers just skirt the east coast of England during this evening and overnight, but otherwise it should stay largely dry for many areas and quite prolonged clear skies. Underneath those clear skies, though, it could be quite a chilly night for the time of year. Rural areas of Scotland may be down into low single figures. Towns and cities generally managing to hold up just in double digits. But that does mean there'll be plentiful amounts of sunshine to start off Tuesday morning as well. Cloud perhaps building for Northern Ireland and the Outer Hebrides with some outbreaks of rain a little later on in the day, and again some showers just lingering around those eastern coastal areas of England. But with lighter winds in that sunshine inland, it will feel really rather nice. Highs now around 25 degrees Celsius in the south. But those temperatures are going to be climbing even further as we head throughout this week with all of that sunshine close to 30 degrees Celsius later on. Bye-bye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now at 20 minutes past 6, it's time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi,
I'm Jordan and I'm a vicar in the Church of England. This week, we're looking at Jesus' parable of the prodigal son, which is found in the Bible in Luke 15. A father's younger son asked for his inheritance early and received it. He left and then squandered it. When he ran out of money, a famine breaks out in the country he's in, and he ends up in a right mess, eating pig's food. Jesus goes on to tell us that the younger brother, in the depths of his despair, stuffing pig food in his mouth, comes to his senses and says, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare? And here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you.'" We've all messed up. Sometimes we royally screw up like the younger brother. But I have found, and as Jesus shows us in this story, the first step towards getting out of that mess could be to admit our mistakes and reach out to the people we've hurt to put it right again.
We've got Aidan talking about sport next, and I'm just saying that the single biggest thing nicked at Wimbledon is the towels, the Wimbledon towels.
Yeah.
And apparently the players just walk off with them. They want them as a souvenir.
I would. I'd love a Wimbledon towel. And they go for about £50 in the shop.
Yeah.
They're really expensive.
Yeah. No, you can have your own one. Yeah, get it that way. Aidan with the sport right after this.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We got Aidan here, and he's got the sport, and there was at Wimbledon, hot weather all week, and look at it today.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure what we're going to see today, to be honest with you, but they've been putting the start back just for a couple of hours in the last few days. But having said that, we did see an epic match yesterday. Cam Norrie on court 1, his favourite court. He's won there the last 8 times at SW19, but he looked as if he was going to bottle it yesterday. Ellie, he was 2 sets up. He was looking unassailable. Where this form's come from, I do not know, because he was talking afterwards on the microphone about how he'd been suffering self-doubt. I hadn't really seen much of him on the circuit for a couple of years.
Bless him, yeah.
And so, I mean, I saw him in 2019 at Eastbourne. I still thought even then he was a late starter. So it just shows how sometimes players can peak just when you're not expecting it. Anyway, he was on court yesterday, 2 sets up, looking good, and then Nicolas Jarry just got a little bit of a luck hit going his way, and he forced 2 sets, and I thought, goodness me, this is going to be a hell of a capitulation here from 2 sets up, Eamonn, but he managed to put it round in the end. The problem he's got now, though, is that he's got the toughest task in tennis tomorrow. He's got to face Carlos Alcaraz. The court is to be decided. He will want it to be on court 1 because that's his lucky court, but I think because it's one of the top matches of the tournament so far, it's probably going to be on centre, which might go against him for all it's worth.
And he's the last Brit, isn't he?
He is the last Brit,
so
yes.
all of our hopes are pinned on Cam Norrie.
Yeah, they are indeed. But look, you know, that's not too bad. I mean, Jack Draper went out earlier in the tournament, but let's have a word on the Briton, Sonny Cartel as well, from Brighton, 23 years old. She went out in 2 sets yesterday, but there was a massive calamity at 4-4 in the first set, Eamonn. You've seen on the back of one of the papers the new AI system, which called the ELC, the electronic, what's it called? The electronic line calling system, was switched off. Or it wasn't turned on by one of the workers who is meant to be controlling it, and so it just disappeared for three points. One of which was hit long by Cartel. Pavlyuchenkova, her opponent, just said, well, hang on, that went long. Where's the AI coming in here?
And there's no human backup. There's nobody...
No. Well, the human backup is the umpire. But the umpire saw it went long, but didn't ask for a replaying of the point. Maybe this is the problem, Eamonn, with AI. This is what AI does. It makes the umpires, the referees, officials in all sports rely on it too much.
Yeah.
And I think they take their eye off the ball.
Quite literally.
They do. Well, yeah, absolutely. They take their eye off the ball. They're not as focused on the job in hand. And I mean, it was clearly long, but they decided to replay it. Pavlyuchenkova made a good point to the umpire, saying, "I think you're too scared to give this against the home player," which might actually have been the case. Anyway, nonetheless, there was no injustice in the end because she got through in 2 sets. Well played, though, to Sonny Cartel, the smallest player in the tournament, also out now.
OK. Also Formula 1, it was the Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, yeah.
Brilliant stuff from Lando Norris. He's never won a Grand Prix before. Always been in the sort of
great
top...
place to win it, isn't it?
Oh, fantastic.
Congratulations to him.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, Silverstone still holds its own place in the calendar. It's not the most state-of-the-art course or track, but it still it draws in the celebrities. And I have to say that yesterday was a brilliant run. Nico Hülkenberg, fair props to him as well. He started 18 on the grid and achieved his first ever podium yesterday. But Lando Norris kept up the British tradition at Silverstone as well, coming through there. And you know what, I'm beginning to take a bit more interest in it now. The last 4 years we've seen Verstappen win every single year. There's been precious little interesting stuff happening in F1. This season we're seeing a bit of a jostling at the top. We're seeing the Brits in there. Everyone's talking about Lewis Hamilton at the start of the season. What about the other 2 Brits who are doing well? George Russell and Lando Norris. Just let's shine some light on them, I think.
Yeah. Really interesting news. With the revamp of Match of the Day and Gary Lineker gone, the BBC are trying a few things, one of which is to use Wayne Rooney as a punter. I think he's very good.
He is, I agree with you. And I think sometimes when a player is as good as he has been and used to the standards that he's been accustomed to, management just isn't for them. And he did it the hard way. He tried to go outside the Premier League and try a few different clubs, but sometimes players are better suited to the studio. Just because you can't get your message across in the dressing room and you can't make players who are far inferior to you perform at a high level, it doesn't mean you've got nothing to say and you can't offer good analysis. I think he's a very accomplished broadcaster on Match of the Day, and you cannot argue with his pedigree, can you?
Although I hear that Macclesfield are interested in making him a manager there.
Yeah, I don't think these days you can combine the two. I really don't. It depends who's offering the most money. I suspect it might be the BBC.
BBC's offering him loads of money.
Yeah, I know. 800 grand on a 2-year deal. He'll also do the World Cup as well. And you know what? He's probably tired a little bit. He's given it a good go on management. I think he's at the crossroads And I think he'll be a welcome addition to the studio because I think sometimes things just need shaking up sometimes, don't they?
Yeah, I think he'd be very good.
Aidan, thanks very much indeed, my friend. See you again at about 7:20.
Thank you very much. Now, there's still plenty of time to grab your chance to win our biggest ever cash prize so far, an incredible £54,321. It's all tax-free as well. Here are all of the details that you need.
You have the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just the chance to sit back, relax, and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You won't need luck if you're headed out on the roads because we've got all the info you need with our traffic update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A82 southbound is closed between Stony Molland and Lomondgate roundabouts for overnight roadworks. Expect delays. On the M4 eastbound, roadworks between Junction 28 Tredegar Park and Junction 24 Coldra require diversions. Plan accordingly. In Derbyshire, an accident on the M1 northbound between Junction 29 and Junction 29A has closed 2 lanes. And on the trains, Great Western Railway reports service disruptions between Falmouth Docks and Gunnislake. London Overground is not operating between Gospel Oak and Barking Riverside. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Do stay with us. Still to come, we'll be going through the papers with Dawn Neeson and Christopher Biggins. That's next.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
I think the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It is a Monday morning, and joining us now to go through what's making the news with the papers, we've got Christopher Biggins and we've got Dawn Neeson. Very nice to see you.
Morning.
Good morning.
What a treat on a Monday morning. Lovely. Dawn, should we look at the Telegraph and start with Labour exploring a potential wealth tax?
Yes, well, this was, politics at the moment, as you know, Ellie, is completely and utterly mad.
Yeah.
Because it was only at the weekend we had Keir Starmer denying that they were considering a wealth tax. And Move On a Day at the Telegraph today are quoting an interview with our... who's it with?
Lord Kinnock.
Yes.
Lord Kinnock,
on TV over the weekend. It's been a long day already, hasn't it, Biggins?
It has.
Can I just tell you...
She was at Nana's engagement party last night with
I
know,
you
Late night, Dawn?
No, but we had a car crash getting here this morning, and Biggins, not us personally, the car in front of us had a car crash.
Oh, no.
Sorry, this is really dull, everybody. And Biggins' taxi didn't turn up, so I've literally just walked in the door. It's raining outside. So, in any case, back to the story. So it's nothing to do with a hangover. Any case, this was, over the weekend, this was denied, but now we have, yes, it's going to happen. 2% tax on assets worth more than 10 million, which could help raise 10 billion a year for the Treasury, which we all know is needed after the U-turn on the benefits. But it can't happen. I mean, it basically can't happen. We've already had, no one really knows for sure, but approximately 16,000 very wealthy people leaving the country. Yeah. If you put additional tax on wealthy people, what they could do, they're just going to leave.
There'll be another fresh exodus.
We've been here before, haven't we?
But a lot of people are going to say, well, why do we care? It doesn't affect my life. I live in a council flat in Huddersfield or whatever. Why do I care if they leave or not?
Because the economy dies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, it's the 10% of wealthy in this country pay the most tax. If they're not here to pay the most tax, there's no tax going into the system.
Well, one man who's in that position paying so much tax because of his wealth is Christopher Biggins. But, it's funny how people make out always that the older you are, the richer you are, and that you've no financial worries. And yet I would put it to you, Biggins, I mean, you and I know each other personally. I assume as you get older, you worry more about money. You worry about, will you be able to afford a carer? Will you be able to afford a care home? Will you be able to afford just being looked after in general? And there are demands on whatever money you have.
Absolutely. And I not only worry about myself, but I worry about friends. Too, because I just think, it's an extraordinary... As you get older, there now seems to be so many elements against you. Funny enough, as getting older person, you don't need certain things. I mean, how many microwaves do you need? You don't need them. But there's other things that you do need. And also, like, for instance, one of my stories later on is the Labour revolt over special needs help.
Yeah.
The demands on the government are huge now. And, you can't just ignore these things, and you just can't throw them away. You have to help the kids that need the help.
If you look at the papers today, a cross-section of the papers, they've all, to a single paper, even the Daily Star, they've all got stories in there about the autumn statement and where the money is going to come from.
Yeah.
The benefits U-turn has left a $4.65
Well, I'll tell you where the money's going to come from. This makes me quite angry. Why give £100 million on Friday to Syria?
Yeah.
Now, we can sit and have the argument about it and whatever. Point is, the country can't afford it.
No.
We can't afford it. The taxpayer can't afford it. So what the heck are we doing it for?
I agree
Good
totally.
question.
I mean, you're absolutely right, Eamonn. I mean, it's ridiculous.
There doesn't seem to be money for pensioners. We are now also talking today about raiding pension pots.
Yeah.
They've U-turned on the winter fuel payment, but now talking about raiding pension pots, pensioners paying more tax because of fiscal drag, etc. The PIP payments, people with disabilities being taxed more, losing their benefits, going future.
And that doesn't even... Another thing that annoys me is that you look at... cancer care centres, hospices and whatever, and they have a massive proportion of what they do, they have to fund themselves, right? Why the heck would a hospice have to fund itself? I think it's absolutely scandalous, ridiculous. The whole care situation is broken, yeah.
Well, the trouble is, too, that we are... I mean, normally, I'd be dead by now at the age of 76. I mean, that would be the norm. But I'm not. I'm alive, and I'm living, and I'm having a good time. So that... But why should I be persecuted for being older?
Well, you won't be, because you don't have 10 million quid in the bank. So
no, that's very true.
Yeah, so you could argue... although Dawn thinks these people will just get up and leave the country, and I don't see any reason to argue with you.
Well, I mean, we don't know for sure, but I mean, supposedly 16. I mean, I know at least 2 people that have done so.
Yeah,
my former boss has moved to Dubai. Lock, stock and barrel, sold up here and gone.
Do you know, I've been looking at things recently about Dubai, come and live in Dubai and whatever, and never would have thought about it. And I sort of think, why not? You've sunshine, you've got a whole...
No, you can't. It's a horrible place. Is it? Oh, it's vile. You wouldn't like it.
OK for a holiday?
I don't think it's even OK for a holiday. There are other places I prefer to go. I think it's soulless.
Oh.
It lacks so many things, you know, and cost... It's mind you, the whole world.
The whole world.
You know, we've just been to New York. New York it smells, it's a thing coming up later, it smells of cannabis in the air. It's the hotel rooms are a minimum of $1,000 a night. Theatre tickets are $1,000. Restaurant, everything is expensive.
You see, now you mentioned that cannabis thing. This is front page of the Daily Mail today, and it's saying the smell... Police are saying the smell of cannabis is a sign of crime, right? And they're saying that senior officers have told this newspaper that the drug's stench can make even them feel unsafe, and frontline officers should do something about it. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Not at all. And I mean, certainly in New York... I haven't been to New York for a long time. You couldn't believe it. You get out of a taxi and the stench is there because everybody's... Every corner you can go and buy drugs in New York.
There's lots of parts of London that are like that, though.
Well, yeah, exactly, they are. I mean, it's becoming like that.
Yeah, even first thing in the morning, I live in East London, where I live, you walk out the house and people are smoking cannabis openly. First thing in the morning. But, I mean, there were, I think, 10 police commissioners recently who wrote to the government saying, you know, you can't decriminalise cannabis. We have to consider putting harsher penalties on it. Meanwhile, in London, you've got the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, suggesting it should be decriminalised.
OK. Hold that thought. We're going to take a short break and we're going to be back right after this, because here is where the holiday sun is, the forecast for the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The heat wave across Europe is increasingly becoming confined to eastern areas of the country. Temperatures here could locally still be 5-10 degrees above normal for the year. On the edge of that heat, though, there are some heavy thunderstorms breaking out for the Balkans and over the Alps. Generally further towards the west, though, temperatures now easing back towards average, but northerly winds bringing a touch of cloud to parts of Iberia, as well as Madeira and Tenerife. Generally, though, for many areas over the next few days, there will be a lot of sunshine around.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Welcome to the Bakerloo line, where over the last year, 2 years, every single carriage seems to have been just absolutely covered in graffiti. So we're out this morning to try and do what the Mayor, Sadiq Khan, seemingly can't. Let's clean up the tube. Look, these doors used to be covered in graffiti, but no more. See, it's not impossible.
Not impossible it is, because there is so much that can actually be done. And just a few friends of mine, actually a guy called Joe Reeve, who organised this all, he's from the campaign group Looking for Growth. And he got in touch and said, do I want to come? And I was like, absolutely, I bloomin' do. Because I think we can show some pictures of some of our work, which was just on Sunday morning. And it was actually remarkably simple. What we did was we sprayed the graffiti with sort of anti-graffiti spray, eco-friendly anti-graffiti spray, actually, as it is.
I didn't know the thing.
A bit of scrubbing, and look, it just comes off. I mean, this stuff is not rocket science. A total lack of imagination, a total unwillingness to do anything about the sort of social decay that we're seeing in our cities and the country at the moment. A laziness, a profound laziness and lack of political will at the heart of the governance of London that means that people are just like, oh, the washing machine's broken, we'll just live with this social decay. Well, no, you don't have to live with the social decay. You can come up with new ways to do things. You can give some people some sponges, some water and some graffiti spray and get that stuff off. It's not impossible. Pull your socks up, Sadiq. Do something about it.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Right, for the next 6 minutes, we've got Christopher Biggins and Dawn Neeson with their views on stories in the paper. What's caught your eye there?
Oh, this one, Biggins. This is in The Star. True stories about lying.
I know, it turns out that 60% of people can't get through a 10-minute conversation without lying, which I think is true now, probably. Yeah, I think
what's a lie? What's a lie? What?
I think it's embellishing a story to make it sound interesting.
Yes.
You know, and they think this is the way to do it, you know.
But that can be very entertaining.
Oh, it can be.
I would be guilty sometimes of embellishing stories.
We all would.
And the people you're partnered with, you will say, well, that's not true.
Yeah, God, yeah, right.
Yeah. Shut up.
We've all been there. No, it didn't happen like that. Shut up.
Yeah.
It does. This story doesn't actually mention the 60% of people they asked were all politicians, though, does it? It's like...
Yeah.
But, I mean, the thing is, there are lies, there are little fibs to save people's feelings. So telling blatant lies like some of our politicians do is different to, like, if someone says, oh, I really do feel uncomfortable in this outfit, what do you think of it? And rather than saying, well, it's not really great, you say, it's fine, you look great. It's just to... Sometimes we tell those little white lies. Yeah.
Well, the reason we do, Biggins, this is what I think. You're a hugely entertaining man to be in...
Is that your lie?
Company with. But I sort of think most people's lives are boring.
Yeah.
And you have to embellish it because everybody thinks, oh, well, Christopher Biggins will lead a much more interesting life than me or whatever. But not necessarily, my friend.
Not absolutely not at all. But embellishing is so easy too.
Yes.
And also it's fun.
Yes.
You think to yourself, how far can I go in fooling these stupid people I'm talking to? You know, and I love doing it. I mean, you know, and actually, if you're with a really boring group, you do more of it, and you become ridiculous in the statement.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because then you notice people laughing and smiling at you, and you realise they must have no laughter or smiles in their life if they find this funny.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
But we could have embellished our Monday morning, couldn't we, Biggins, and made some glamorous reason up for why we were a bit discombobulated. But we're just having a wet Monday morning like everybody else is, where everything goes wrong.
I know, very depressing, the wet.
Boring, but...
But sometimes the honesty is more refreshing, isn't it? Like you just said then.
Yeah.
You've had a Monday morning to top all Monday morning.
Yeah,
like,
a wet Monday morning, that's what it is.
Yeah.
We all have them, but, you know, we could embellish it and make it crisp and sexy and full of impact, but I can't think of anything at this precise moment.
Well, listen, just to change the tone and the tune, Dawn, 20th anniversary today of the London bombings, the 7/7 attacks, and all the papers, and indeed we are covering this, and Mark White, our security editor, he was living in one of the areas, and so he talks about it from both a professional and a personal point of view.
Well, I think, you know, if you were in London at the time, you're always going to remember where you were and what you were doing. And I was editing a national newspaper at the time, and it was one of those days, as I'm sure you will have had them as well, Eamonn, you go to work and you don't literally leave for about a week because the news story just keeps developing. And obviously it was just horrific. And you saw the pictures coming in, they weren't blurred, they weren't pixelated. So you saw the real horror of what people went through. And putting those page ones together on those newspapers, the now iconic, for all the wrong reasons, image of that bus in Tavistock Square, which we drove past on the way in today.
But the thing is, on that day, Dawn, few people knew exactly what was going on because the other explosions were underground.
Yeah, it was
unseen.
Yeah, because the husband was, you know, like a lot of people at the time, was about to get on a tube, and it's one of those sliding door moments, and he missed it, and obviously you're panicking, you couldn't get through because the phone system went down. When you finally got hold of one another, it was like, oh, they're saying it was a power surge. So it was the confusion and the terror and the not knowing what was going on. And then when the truth finally sunk in of what had happened, it was like, how many more are there? What's going to happen next?
And it was the disbelief, really, that this was happening in our city. I mean, I think, when we were living within it, we were all so shocked. I mean, we couldn't believe what was happening. This was, you know, something personal to everybody who lived in London.
Well, I was in Portugal at the time. I was on holiday. And I suppose, like everybody else, you were fixated on satellite television, the news feeds. Just, you know, so you just, you know, that's all you did was sit in front of the TV and hear what was going on, what they knew, what the story that was building up.
Yeah, I mean, you can see on your screen that bus in Tavistock Square, which I think would be
800 people injured.
I know.
As well as all those deaths.
And I remember doing a page one as well with some of the victims, or as many victims I could get on page one, little photo booth pictures, little headshots of all these people. And so diverse. It really was a...
Well, it was London, wasn't it?
It was a snapshot of London, Ellie. It was like, you know, they killed people of all colours, all faiths, all ages. It was just indiscriminate. And what for? 20 years on, what is it achieved?
And the fact that they were suicide bombings as well.
And they were all British.
Yeah.
All British.
Yeah, homegrown terrorism.
What was very moving yesterday, there was a piece on television about a woman who lost both her legs. And she was reunited on the 10-year anniversary with the man, the policeman, who'd taken her out and, you know, helped her. And they hugged. There she was on her two false legs. And she hugged him 10 years, this was 10 years ago, you know, to say thank you. And it was very, very moving.
Well, we'll say thank you to you, Christopher, and you, Dawn. Thank you very much indeed. We are out of time. And as we head to the break, we'll bring you the weather update. Jonathan Vautry with that.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather updates provided by the Met Office. Many of us can look forward to a fine and settled week to come with plentiful amounts of sunshine, all courtesy of this area of high pressure that's going to be building in from the Atlantic. It's not quite reached all areas just yet, so there is this lingering weather front across the far southeast of England with some heavy rain first thing. Also, just a few showers pushing through from North Wales, parts of Merseyside, Cheshire region, and a few showers will also generally linger across North Sea coasts. But elsewhere, the sunshine should break through during today, and it will feel relatively pleasant overall compared to the rather cloudy skies we saw over the weekend. Temperatures generally ranging around mid to high teens across parts of Scotland, but we do have quite a brisk northwesterly wind coming in, so it probably will make it feel a touch cooler than what these values may suggest otherwise. But if you manage to get out of the breeze and in that sunshine, it should be pleasant nonetheless. Temperatures further towards the south likely to climb into the 20 degrees of Celsius, around 23 as your highs for Cardiff and London. We could see a few more heavy showers just skirt the east coast of England during this evening and overnight, but otherwise it should stay largely dry for many areas and quite prolonged clear skies. Underneath those clear skies, though, it could be quite a chilly night for the time of year. Rural areas of Scotland may be down into low single figures. Towns and cities generally managing to hold up just in double digits. But that does mean there'll be plentiful amounts of sunshine to start off Tuesday morning as well. Cloud perhaps building for Northern Ireland and the Outer Hebrides with some outbreaks of rain a little later on in the day, and again some showers just lingering around those eastern coastal areas of England. But with lighter winds in that sunshine inland, it will feel really rather nice. Highs now around 25 degrees Celsius in the south. But those temperatures are going to be climbing even further as we head throughout this week, with all of that sunshine close to 30 degrees Celsius later on. Bye-bye.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Due to planned maintenance, the M4 eastbound is closed from junction 28 Tredegar Park to junction 24 Coldra, with diversions in place. In Derbyshire, the M1 northbound between junction 29 and junction 29A is partially closed following an accident, with normal traffic expected to resume by 8:15 this morning. In Oxfordshire, a collision on the A34 northbound at the A415 junction is causing lane closures, with conditions expected to improve around 9:21 this morning. And on the trains, Great Western Railway and Hull trains face reduced services. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister faces a fresh revolt over special needs support.
Senior figures in the Labour Party warn that the plans risk becoming Welfare Mark II.
As the government insists the changes are not about saving money, will Sir Keir Starmer be able to keep control of his MPs?
As we've been talking about so far in the programme, today marks the 20th anniversary of the 7/7 bombings. We'll be looking back at the day that shocked the whole country and marked a turn in the threat posed to Britain. We'll be joined by a survivor later.
Tariffs are going to be the tariffs. I think we'll have most countries done by July 9th.
President Trump has said his team will start reaching out to trade partners today with new tariff rates as the 90-day trade negotiation pause ends this week.
Erin Patterson has been found guilty of murdering her 3 in-laws with death-cap mushrooms as the verdict ends one of Australia's most intriguing murder cases.
Calls for action on alcohol. New research finds almost 2/3 of workers are drinking more due to the stress or pressures related to their job.
And as thrill seekers take to the streets of the Spanish bull running festival, we're asking, is it time to ditch this tradition?
Cam Norrie is carrying GB hopes into the second week at Wimbledon after he came through a 5-set thriller to make the quarterfinals down at SW19. And it was the end of the road, though, for Sonny Courtal. And at Silverstone, it was a maiden triumph for Lando Norris at the British Grand Prix.
Join me later for a look at the weather for the forthcoming days, with temperatures set to be climbing as we head throughout this week.
Hello there, very good morning to you. However you're watching, whoever you're listening, you're very welcome. Thank you for watching. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. This story's caught my eye in the Daily Mail this morning. Apparently, flashing a fancy watch does not make you very likeable. You look like you're trying to show off. Yeah, people don't like that.
Dangerous in London.
And dangerous in London, good point, Aidan. But if you are flashy in terms of going to nice restaurants, it does make you very likeable because it shows that you're passionate about something.
I'm passionate about my watch.
Yeah, lots of people are. But I do.
I like looking at a good watch.
Yeah, I know, but it's just so...
I think that's a man thing.
There are so many cases now in the last couple of years. I've heard people be mugged on train platforms and stuff like that just for their watch. And they followed... Someone was recently followed home on a tube, probably over a stretch of miles or so, just to get the watch. It's dangerous. It's not worth it. Yes, you should be allowed to do that. Of course you should. But I just think it's too risky in some of the big cities now.
Do you feel like people appreciate your fancy watch, though, if you're wearing one?
Yeah, I think
I don't really do it for other people to appreciate it. You know, do I like it? Do I feel good about it? And, either that or you just walk about with the phone and you look at the time on it. And I've tried that as well. And I go, no, I want to wear a watch, so I'm back wearing a watch.
Yeah, I like having a watch on.
Yeah.
I don't like checking
That's what I think.
my phone for the time. But apparently, foods and if you spend lots of money on going to the theatre as well, shows that you're passionate about something.
What a lot of rubbish. A lot of rubbish. The theatres in London, right? Here's the theatres in London. Probably not the air conditioning that you want. The seats are not comfortable.
Seats aren't comfortable.
Access, for instance, I couldn't go to the theatre. I had, this is twice, I booked tickets for Fawlty Towers.
That was good. That's good, isn't it?
And I couldn't find anybody to go with me, mate.
Really?
Right, so I didn't go.
Defo.
Yeah, and then I was invited to a red carpet event, Fawlty Towers, last Thursday night, and the lift in the theatre was broken. Therefore, they said, well, you can only come in, Mr. Holmes, if you can go up and down 10 steps. And I said, well, I can't do that, you know? And then I said to them, I said to them, well, there's no way you can get into the theatre. I said, but there must be an exit door. There must be like an emergency exit. So bring me outside, let me come in reverse through the emergency exit doors. Well, this blew everybody's mind. No one had really thought about this, so they couldn't do this. But so that's twice I've tried to go and see Fawlty Towers, and twice I haven't been able.
Well, third time lucky, and you can take Aidan.
I went to see Nick Kyrgios at Wimbledon Theatre 2 weeks ago. He did like a Q&A thing, but he doesn't project his voice very well, so they turned the air conditioning off to ease up on the noise.
Oh no!
And people were walking out. It was just so honestly, it was so hot, and it was a really.
Well, that's a stupid idea, wasn't it?
Totally, what to go? Yeah, it was.
How was he? Was he in good spirits?
When he could hear him, he was pretty good,
Who is he?
He's a tennis player.
Nick Kyrgios. He's a bit feisty, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Oh, yes, I know who he is.
The feisty
He got to the final. He got to the final of Wimbledon in 2022.
Yeah, he smashes rackets and things.
That's Aidan, full of it. He always knows the answer to everything.
He knows the answer to everything. He's like
7:05 is the time. Thank you. Welcome on board today. Our top story in politics, Keir Starmer facing a fresh backbench revolt over plans to overhaul special needs education.
Well, there are reports that ministers are poised to scrap the system which ensures that pupils with special needs, such as autism and ADHD, get personalised support at school.
But senior party figures warn that these reforms risk becoming welfare Mark II. Now, this comes as the government is facing mounting pressure to balance the books on public finances. But with millions of children potentially losing legally guaranteed support, furious parents and campaigners are fighting back.
Is Labour steering towards another internal clash? Well, joining us now is former political advisor Oscar Redrop, and this one's controversial, isn't it, Oscar?
It is controversial, and it's come at a very difficult time for the government. I think what's interesting here, in fairness to the Education Department, is that they haven't said one way or the other. There's no real meat on the bone in terms of the legislation, the reforms. But because...
Oh, well, Phillipson wouldn't answer the question yesterday.
Yeah, I know what people read into. When they see a politician answering a question, no, so I understand that. But formally, there's nothing. And why that's interesting politically is that people are getting their punches in early because the underbelly of number 10 or 11 are so bruised, battered and weak. And that is really troubling. Only a year into your government to be, absolutely held, accountable at all times and basically being backseat driven by backbench MPs. And just quickly, before we get into the policy itself, if you like, I mean, the real issue here is that I don't quite understand, and I don't quite, in terms of moving forward for the Labour government, when they've conceded like they have on welfare, I mean, it really was on a knife edge. I mean, in terms of, I know it's the media's interest sometimes to whip up interest in politics and government, but last week, it looked like it was falling apart. I mean, really falling apart.
Yeah.
And so for Keir Starmer and for, unfortunately, for Rachel Reeves as well, that credibility, I think, is shot.
I totally agree with you. You're talking about a socialist, or what should be a socialist government, which should be doing things for people and disadvantaged people. And if they don't do this, this is another example where they are failing. Now, I believe there is a right thing to do and a wrong thing to do. Is this a right thing to do to give these children support? Yes, it is. And if it is, then we should go through with it.
Yeah. I might get Tories who have a go at me for this or whatever, but I totally agree. I think that the support should be there. I honestly don't understand. It feels like back-to-back here. Why this Labour government? And maybe they're trying to act tough. Keir Starmer, in an interview over the weekend, he said, he talked about himself as being a bit of a hard man and very resilient. But if you're trying to look tough, it's not working. I absolutely agree that for a Labour... And I have empathy with the backbench MPs in some ways, because they're watching their beloved Labour Party taking on, it seems, like the most vulnerable in society at the moment.
Yeah.
And also, so you want to look tough and you want to look hard. It's like kicking off at someone in a pub, and then actually when the guy turns around and says, yeah, do you want to have a fight? And then kind of running off into the trees. I mean, that's what this Labour government seems to be doing.
I remember Margaret Thatcher. She was tough. Right, you would find it difficult to pick a fight with her. You'd think, this mightn't come out of this well. Starmer, he's not tough. He's just Mr. Turnabout, Mr. Change.
But he likes making the noises. Yeah. But then he gets walked back. They don't quite have the bottle to make these really, really tough decisions. And I'm sorry to your viewers, but that really... And they'll deny it and deny it, and they'll roll the pitch a little bit. But ultimately, because they can't make the tough decisions, wrongly or rightly, as we've just discussed, tax rises will be their solution.
Indeed. I would like to know who is Starmer, what he stands for. I don't get any sort of, well, who are you? What are you about? What's your direction about here? Make a stand on something or not. Make it quite clear. But he doesn't make it clear. This is who I am. This is what we're doing. Kids with ADHD or autism, they're going to get support, or it's not worthwhile doing, so we're not doing it. But just tell us one way or the other.
And again, in fairness then to the backbench MPs in the Labour Party, if they're watching their Prime Minister who doesn't know who he is, has no identity and is rudderless, they're just saying, oh, we'll drive it for you then.
Yeah, well, they are.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you actually don't have a direction and you're not quite sure who you are as a leader, we'll tell you who you are. We'll drive it.
Well, this is the thing, though, because the backbenchers have now got a taste of rebellion, haven't they? They've seen that it can mean a U-turn. So what does this mean for future votes? And what's it mean for future legislation? Because clearly they put up enough of a fight and it will go away.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why last week, I cannot tell you, but that's why last week was so huge. And yet, like, you know, over the last year, there have been bad weeks, there have been OK weeks, and there have been decent weeks for the Labour government. But last week was the first time that actually I think we saw, God, anything can happen in politics, but we saw the first iteration of this Labour government die.
And we're only a year in.
Yeah, we're only a year in. Things are moving very quickly at the moment.
So what do you think this means, then, for the future for Sir Keir Starmer and for Rachel Reeves?
I think for the time being, they're caught in an impossible rock-and-a-hard-place situation where they know the voters out there will be apoplectic with rage if they are forced... That's a very good word, isn't it? If they're forced to pay more in tax, and at the same time they've got their backbench MPs holding the knife to their back saying, well, we're not letting you cut costs here, we're not letting you cut costs there. Ultimately, we're pushing the direction of tax rises. So Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer, when people were trying to drive a wedge between the two of them last week, I'm not really having that. I think they probably put their arms around each other and have. I mean, they're in exactly the same turmoil and battle.
To each other,
absolutely, like they're probably weeping together. Like I don't think they're out to get each other at all.
The general public, people watching and listening to this show this morning, they are confused. They're wondering what will happen to their savings, to their pension, how they're going to be affected by tax rises and whatever. And then you get stories like this, front page of The Sun today. And I think Wayne Rooney is brilliant. Not only brilliant as a player, but I think he's a brilliant pundit as well. But you get rid of Gary Lineker on £1 million a year on Match of the Day, and you hire Wayne Rooney on 800,000. Is that the right look and the right feel? Do people sort of think? I mean, there's easy money. There's easy money talking about. I wish somebody would hire me to commentate on football, or you know, because
for 800k.
Because it wouldn't be like work at all. You just you watch a match and you have a few opinions about it.
Well, the BBC have made some very, as we all know, over the last year or so, I would say the BBC have made some shocking decisions, and I think decisions that, in terms of the relationship they have with the public, is like weakening by that.
And the reason I highlight that is public money.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
License fee money. It's not as if it's coming independently somewhere else.
Exactly that. So, I don't know if the public out there are comfortable, but ultimately, you're paying for Wayne Rooney's... we're paying for Wayne Rooney's huge new job with the BBC, ultimately.
Yeah. Nice work if you can get it.
Yeah, exactly.
800k.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Oscar, thank you very much.
Oscar, always a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. 13 minutes past the hour.
Now, a few months ago, President Trump announced a 10% base tariff rate on most countries and higher additional rates ranging up to 50%. Remember that?
Well, he later delayed the date with a 90-day pause, and the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, telling journalists the president is setting the deals right now. But that pause comes to an end this week, and the president had this to say.
There are going to be tariffs. The tariffs are going to be the tariffs. I think we'll have most countries done by July 9th, yeah. Either a letter or a deal.
But they go into effect on August 1st.
Well, also happening today, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is heading back to Washington to discuss a potential ceasefire in Gaza.
And Elon Musk has announced he is launching a new political party. He founded this over the weekend, and he's fallen out with President Trump, and he's now said that the world's richest man has gone completely off the rails.
Lots to get into. Joining us now is US political commentator Jennifer Ewing. Morning to you, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us. Should we start with the tariffs? Because the pause is set to lift this week, but there's now some confusion about when they're going to come into effect, with letters being written. Tell us a bit more.
Sure. So you're right. They were supposed to come into effect this Wednesday. And what he's done is he's basically put a delay into it until August 1st for certain countries. We think that'll be about 12 or 15 countries. The letters will go out today by 12 o'clock Eastern time. So what's that, 5 o'clock UK time? And and it'll be kind of new negotiations starting. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that just came out a few hours ago, so probably why most people were asleep, is he's saying that any country that's associated with the BRICS countries, which of course are, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, plus a bunch of others, Egypt, Iran, Ethiopia, a whole group of them who are meeting in Rio over the weekend. Any country seen as supporting them will have a non-negotiable 10% tariff put on. So again, I mean, a lot of people, myself included, thought that these tariffs were just points at which to start the conversation, right? For a lot of these discussions. We've seen that he has a deal, obviously, with the UK, with China, and with Vietnam. But yeah, there's still a lot of work to do if he wants to secure tariffs with other countries.
So, Jennifer, how do you see this meeting? Would Netanyahu be summoned to the White House to explain himself, or is he going with some sort of begging bowl, relying on American assistance for what he's about to do? Is Trump telling him what to do, or is Trump begging him to change his stance on various things? What I'm trying to say to you is, what is significant about the Israeli Prime Minister going to Washington?
Sure. And I don't think it'll be a Zelensky with his begging bowl, in a complete takedown like we saw in February. I do think that President Trump, we know, he ran on peace. He ran on no new wars. So that's why, while a lot of people, even some people in the Republican Party, would have liked to have seen more of an escalation against Iran over the last couple of weeks, President Trump did not want that. So I think what he's going to be doing is basically saying we need to have peace in the Middle East, and telling Netanyahu that he is going to be playing a big part in that.
And please, can we talk about Elon Musk setting up a new political party, the America Party, being set up by a South African? But we know that in the United States it's two-party system, so how is that even going to fit in?
Yeah, that's a good question. And he did file the paperwork. So, he's free to start a new party. Typically, third parties, extra parties have not done that well in the United States. We have a Libertarian Party, we have a Green Party. But probably the biggest difference between the UK and the United States is the Republican Party sort of had their populist movement over the last few years within the Republican Party, right? Whereas in the United Kingdom, it was outside and in the form of reform. So I think Elon Musk is deeply upset about all of the work that he did on Doge to cut costs. And then, of course, last week, on 4th of July, the big, beautiful bill was passed. And Elon Musk, who's a fiscal conservative and, of course, comes from the private sector where he's a genius. He builds rockets. He created Tesla. But I think a lot of the private sector disciplines he had, he hoped would work in the federal government, and they did not. So he was not pleased with the bill and therefore thinks, okay, let's start a new party that's fiscally conservative. While I don't think, first of all, he can't run for president because he's South African. He wasn't born in our country. But what history tells us from 1992, when Ross Perot ran as an independent against George H.W. Bush, is that oftentimes these third parties can make a difference because they chip away at one side or the other. In the case of Ross Perot, he took away from George H.W. Bush And Bill Clinton won in 1992. So, look, it's a long way away. We don't even know what he's going to run on, or if this will continue to gather momentum. But it's interesting.
Yeah. Very well explained, Jennifer.
Thank you.
And I'd like
Thank
to
you.
say very lucidly explained and whatever, bearing in mind that last night at Nana Ku's engagement party, there was I sitting in darkness, and this very lovely woman approached me, and the light was behind her head, and I couldn't see who she was initially, you see, and she's talking away to me and whatever, and then I realised it's Jennifer. Yeah. Oh, she's another one. She was out all last night. I was out last night. Dawn Leeson, all at the same party.
Top form this
and it was
morning.
amazing who we were bumping into. But it was lovely to see you socially last night.
It was wonderful to see you as well. And yeah.
Well,
I didn't stay out too late, so.
You have a good day today anyway.
You
Thank
guys
you
as
very
well.
much indeed.
Thanks,
Thank you, Jennifer
Good to
Ewing.
see you.
Thank you.
Oh, everyone was at this party last night.
Everybody was there. Everybody.
Lovely.
Why weren't you there?
I was invited, but I'm getting married next weekend. I can't be drinking or staying out late.
Well, I was there. I wasn't drinking. Why can't you just refrain from alcohol? Yeah. Is the grip of alcohol so tight on you? Are you one of these people that we're reading about today who are under stress, work's put them under stress, that they're now drinking more and more?
Yes, that's me. I'm wedding stress as well. And I said to Nana, I was like, Nana, if you'd done it the week after our wedding, I'd be there, but not the week before.
7:20 is the time. Thanks for your company this morning. Here's your weather, and it's a bit wet out there. Jonathan Vautry.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Many of us can look forward to a fine and settled week to come with plentiful amounts of sunshine, all courtesy of this area of high pressure that's going to be building in from the Atlantic. It's not quite reached all areas just yet, so there is this lingering weather front across the far southeast of England with some heavy rain first thing. Also, just a few showers pushing through from North Wales, parts of Merseyside, Cheshire region, and a few showers will also generally linger across North Sea coasts. But elsewhere, the sunshine should break through during today, and it will feel relatively pleasant overall compared to the rather cloudy skies we saw over the weekend. Temperatures generally ranging around mid to high teens across parts of Scotland, but we do have quite a brisk northwesterly wind coming in, so it probably will make it feel a touch cooler than what these values may suggest otherwise. But if you manage to get out of the breeze and in that sunshine, it should be pleasant nonetheless. Temperatures further towards the south likely to climb into the 20 degrees of Celsius, around 23 as your highs for Cardiff and London. We could see a few more heavy showers just skirt the east coast of England during this evening and overnight, but otherwise it should stay largely dry for many areas and quite prolonged clear skies. Underneath those clear skies, though, it could be quite a chilly night for the time of year. Rural areas of Scotland may be down into low single figures. Towns and cities generally managing to hold up just in double digits. But that does mean there'll be plentiful amounts of sunshine to start off Tuesday morning as well. Cloud perhaps building for Northern Ireland and the Outer Hebrides with some outbreaks of rain a little later on in the day, and again some showers just lingering around those eastern coastal areas of England. But with lighter winds in that sunshine inland, it will feel really rather nice. Highs now around 25 degrees Celsius in the south. But those temperatures are going to be climbing even further as we head throughout this week, with all of that sunshine close to 30 degrees Celsius later on. Bye-bye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, the Great British Giveaway, just how great is that? How would you describe it?
So great. It's tax-free. It's the biggest one that we've ever given away.
54,321 quid.
Exactly that.
Yeah, exactly that. And here's how it could be yours.
You have the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just the chance to sit back, relax, and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. For another chance to win win £54,321 cash. Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now do stay with us. Still to come, thrill seekers are taking to the streets of the Spanish Bull Running Festival today. So we're asking, is it time to ditch the tradition? That's next.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 7:28. Now, the annual festival of San Fermin continues with the first running of the bulls in Spain.
Well, this sees spectators try to keep ahead of the bulls, and they're let loose. You've seen this, these pictures that they run down a street, and I don't know what the hell people are doing, trying to get out of the way and avoid those horns and all that sort of thing. But we're asking today if this tradition is worth keeping, or is it just too dangerous, too inhumane, really bad for the animals and bad. I wouldn't want to run down the street with a bull chasing me.
I don't really know what would compel you, but anyway, hopefully we can get a bit more information from former Spanish expat Sam Day and spokesperson for Animal Rising, Rose Patterson. Morning to you both. Sam, let's start with you. You used to live in Spain, didn't you? So why would people even want to do this in the first place? It's so dangerous, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, first of all, guys. So yeah, I did live in Spain for 4 years. I walked the streets in Pamplona during San Fermin. I've been to Plaza del Toro, the sort of main bullfighting event in Madrid, and it's such a unique atmosphere. This is what people are attracted to. It's a spectacle like no other, and whether you're a thrill seeker or there just to watch what goes on, I mean, it attracts thousands from all around the globe for these sort of unique traditions within Spain.
Were you comfortable with it, with what you saw in terms of the animals and the people participating as well?
I think context matters, right? These are animals that are bred for ferocity. They are sort of bred across pasteurized land in parts of the Iberian Peninsula, and they live better than lives that are better than most sort of cattle farmers, cattle ranchers across the UK or the US, for example. And you see the care that these farmers possess towards this animal, and through to the actual atmosphere of these events. It's artistry and it's steeped in deep cultural tradition within the Spanish people. They're a very proud and passionate people. I think there's a genuine misconception about the treatment of these animals. And when you're at these events, the crowd backs and is so supportive of the efforts of both the toreros or the matadors and the actual bulls. They're celebrated, not sort of revered.
I see that as a spectacle. This must be awesome, taking over your senses, the noise, the ferocity of it, whatever. That doesn't make it right. And, I watch that and I see, first of all, cruelty to the animals, and anybody getting in the way. You always think, what are they doing that for? What is all that about?
Yeah, I think, look, again, this is
no, sorry, that was for Rose. That was for Rose.
Well, hi, thanks for having me on the show, by the way. I totally agree with you, Eamonn. These bulls are deliberately stressed, confused. They're running down these narrow streets with thousands of people screaming and shouting at them. And of course, they're being led to this bull ring as well. So most of the running of the bull events in Spain end in a bullfight as well, where the animals are basically stabbed to death. And I'm sorry, I don't know how you can say that there is any care for these animals, no matter how good their lives are before this event. This is clearly cruelty to animals. This is torture. Even during the running of the bulls, people are attacking the bulls, sometimes even attaching flares to their horns. There is nothing kind about this. And I think we can't be using tradition or culture as an excuse to be doing these things to animals anymore. Since these events started many years ago, we've learned so much more about animals. We know that they can feel pain, they suffer, and we have alternatives to this. And we've seen the end of dogfighting. We're seeing increased support for the end of bullfighting and the running of bulls in Spain. And so, yeah, I think we're going to see an end to this in the near future.
So, Dan or Sam, when you look at these pictures again, did you enjoy watching that?
I think it's beyond that, right? It's the entire event till even afterwards, what they do with the meat. They're so respectful of it, but the actual artistry, the industry that kind of comes into it, it's it can be a tough watch at the end. But I think with the entire event put in context, it's a genuine spectacle, and I enjoyed the event, from going into speaking to people, to the locals that clearly are steeped into this tradition. And I think before we can sit around and suggest what another culture should do, that's for them to decide. And in certain parts of Spain, specifically Catalonia, they've banned that. But in certain other regions, whether it be Andalusia or Pamplona in general, they rely on this. This is part of their heritage and their economy and industry, and it's an event that brings in 2 billion annually to the Spanish economy, with 200,000 jobs. It means something important to them.
Okay, Sam and Rose, we're out of time with you this morning, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. I'm sure it is an incredible spectacle, and there'd be some like adrenaline pumping attitude to it, but it's just not right. You can't. I just think in this day and age, it just looks prehistoric. Really.
It does, yeah.
And you just can't. 7,000 animals are killed through these running spectacles and festivals around the country. And well, that's just my view, but it's the time to say adios to all of that. Let us know your view, have your say.
I mean, even if they're not killed, it must be so distressing to the bulls, and you can see them falling in the streets and things. It's just not very nice.
But could you imagine running in front of one of the bulls?
Well, I don't know what would compel you. I think that's silly. Really stupid.
Coming up, second week of Wimbledon underway. Eamonn McGee with All Your Sport right after this.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Motorists on the M4 eastbound face disruptions from Tredegar Park to Coldra due to roadworks causing closures and diversions. In Kirklees, a broken down vehicle has shut one of 3 lanes on the M62 eastbound between Junction 22 and Junction 24, with 40-minute delays. In Wiltshire, a collision on the A303 eastbound between junctions with the A360 and the A345 leads to lane closures and 30-minute delays. And on the trains, Great Western Railway reports reduced service affecting Falmouth Docks and Gunnislake, while Hull Trains also has a reduced service. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
We've got the sport with Eamonn and Eamonn McGee here with us this morning. Eamonn, I'd like to start with the controversy. We were talking last week about Wimbledon doing away with line judges. And, it's all... Paul was saying to me, there's no problem, this is all foolproof, nothing can go wrong. But it did go wrong yesterday.
It did. This was the match between the Briton Sonny Cartel, 23-year-old from Brighton. She's come from nowhere, really, up against Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. Now, at 4-4 in the first set, the AI is in use all the time, but it has to be switched on by a member of staff at Wimbledon on the day. So there's a little bit of human error involved as well. So that's all well and good, except it got to the 8th or 9th game yesterday and it wasn't switched on. Before we go any further, I want to actually show you the set 2 between Sonny Kartal and Pavlyuchenkova, and actually the German umpire. Let's see what actually went on. This was at 4-4 in the first set.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience. The electronic line calling system, unfortunately, was unable to track the last point, so we will replay the point.
I don't know if it's in the result. How do I know? You cannot prove it. Because she's local, they can say whatever. You took the game away from me.
They have to go to trust the system. If they tell me it's up and running, there's nothing we can do. If they tell me we don't have it, that's the rule.
Yeah, they stole the game from me. They stole it.
So what happened was that the shot went long by Pavlyuchenkova. Sorry, by Kartal. It went long, and the umpire clearly thought, well, AI would take care of it. Didn't have his eye on the ball, obviously. It went long, and instead of saying, well, look, OK, the AI wasn't working, it's not my fault it wasn't working, I'm going to...
But I saw
it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't see it. And this is what I was saying last hour. I think that the reliance on technology is leading umpires and officials in every sport, actually, that I've seen, including most notably in football, to take their eyes off the ball. They're getting lazy. They're certainly getting lazy in football. There's no question about that, because they're just thinking, well, OK, I didn't see it very well. The game's very quick, so don't worry, the VAR will see it.
They're reliant on the technology.
They are indeed. And so they replay the points, and that's why Pavlyuchenkova was saying, you know what, I think you've just bottled it there. I think you've given a reprieve to the home player. I think she might have had a point.
OK. Or not have a point, whatever.
Yeah. And can we just have a very quick look at F1 and Lando Norris? Fantastic for him.
Brilliant stuff. I mean, he was helped by the rain. I think that's one of the things that is key to the outcome of some of these races. But it's his first, his maiden win in F1 as a Grand Prix. And you know what? He wasn't one of the favourites to start with. Max Verstappen was in the pole, and it looks interesting now. Do you know, in qualifying, Eamonn, on the top 6 qualifiers, they were separated by 0.23 of a second. It was close.
Top 6.
Top 6, which was, I thought, I've never known that before. I'm sure it's happened before, but not in my memory, which is normally quite reliable. So, so Lewis Hamilton was nowhere to be seen, but nonetheless, a good event at Silverstone, and we're seeing a bit of competition unfold there, having been quite processional in the last 4 years.
OK.
Very good.
Aidan, thank you very much. We'll see you in the next hour. Now, just before we look at the papers with Dawn and Biggins, let's have a look at where the sun is shining across Europe.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The heat wave across Europe is increasingly becoming confined to eastern areas of the country. Temperatures here could locally still be 5-10 degrees above normal for the year. On the edge of that heat, though, there are some heavy thunderstorms breaking out for the Balkans and over the Alps. Generally further towards the west, though, temperatures now easing back towards average, but northerly winds bringing a touch of cloud to parts of Iberia, as well as Madeira and Tenerife. Generally, though, for many areas over the next few days, there will be a lot of sunshine around.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Camilla Tominey. This is GB News, Britain's election channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
And Tom, look what I received this morning.
This is so sweet. Oh!
Isn't that cute? From one of our viewers and listeners. A little, I think it's homemade.
Shall I hold it up?
Yeah, you hold it up. And a little tiny matching hat as well, which is very cute. Goes up here. So there you go, a little matching hat.
And
also a lovely little blanket as well. Wow. This is from Judith from Leeds, who wrote me a lovely little letter, and to Patrick as well, wishing us well, saying that she loves watching our shows, and I hope we enjoy this little outfit. So there you go.
It's like your little baby is with us already.
So So yes, Judith, I hope you're watching, because thank you very much indeed. It's really sweet of you to send that to me. It took a little while to get to us, but we've got it this morning, so that's so cute.
It's incredible craftsmanship, actually.
I'll make sure to take a little picture when the baby arrives.
Are you sure your baby isn't going to be French?
This is something French about it. It's a good thing I like France, so there you go.
Oui, oui.
That's very cute indeed. I just thought I'd say thank you because it was a really nice surprise this morning.
Yeah, no, it is actually really, really lovely. And it does, I mean...
Does it bring a tear to your eye, Tom?
Well, we haven't really...
Feeling very emotional?
Well, I was going to say...
New life?
We haven't really mentioned, you know, your pregnancy in a little while. And
yeah, after the big reveal. After the big reveal.
You're still with us for a few months more before your due date.
I have to depart, yes.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you've got me for a little longer. We'll see how it goes.
Marvellous
See how
stuff.
it goes. It'll be rolling me in. Before I leave this desk.
It'll be a GB baby.
GB News baby. GB baby.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. We're going through the papers in the company of actor and broadcaster Christopher Biggins and former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson. And Biggins, should we start with this breaking news this morning?
Yes.
And Erin Patterson, this is a story from Australia, isn't it?
Australia, absolutely.
Yeah, Erin Patterson found guilty of murdering 3 relatives with a deadly beef Wellington.
Yeah.
So she held a dinner party.
Yep.
And she had this beef Wellington. She obviously didn't consume it.
No. And the mushrooms were the secret ingredient, which, of course, you do have in a beef Wellington. You put mushrooms in. But she very cunningly put in poisonous mushrooms, which then murdered 3 of her husband's relatives. And he escaped by going somewhere else for lunch in the end. He decided not to go. So perhaps...
Do we know why she wanted to kill them all?
I think it was money. I think she wanted.
It's never been entirely clear. It's the weirdest trial. Obviously, it's in Australia. But it's the weirdest trial because it's gone on for 11 weeks, this trial, as well. It has gone on for a long time. All this happened 2 years ago. And it's, you know, the husband, he did eat the poison food as well, but he survived. So she killed her mother and father-in-law and her husband's auntie as well. And, you know... There was one of the main things that found her guilty was the coloured plate she was serving on. So she served everybody else a certain coloured plate, but her and the kids had a different colour. And it's like, well, why were yours a different colour? It's because obviously she didn't want to give the poisoned mushrooms to herself and her kids. And that was one of the things that did her down, was the fact that, you know, the plates were a different colour. So you obviously were poisoning the mushrooms.
But would you notice if you went to a dinner party if you were given a different coloured plate?
No. Not really? I would have eaten it all up.
Exactly.
And if I was going to try and poison my family, I would actually not make it that obvious either. I'd sort of like, there must be some other way of doing it.
She looked like a murderess, though, I thought, in the pictures.
Yeah.
You think, you know, I wouldn't trust her. I don't think I'd rush to go and have for lunch.
Ellie's just showed me a picture of her. She looks like many things. Said there. But you wouldn't want to cross her, really.
No.
So what has she been given, a life sentence for
Not
this?
yet.
No?
She hasn't been sentenced
No,
yet,
I mean, that's to come. But I think she probably will get a life sentence because 3 people died.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So she's been found guilty of all charges, and that's only happened in the last hour or so.
Yes.
In Australia.
Yeah.
Right, Dawn. English breakfast fans have panned a trend for cooking a fry-up on the barbecue.
Yeah, I mean, come on, people.
I think it's a great idea.
That's a stupid idea.
If you
nice sunny morning, that would be lovely.
Well, how many nice sunny mornings do you get?
Well, quite a few recently. And apparently more to come, according to the paper.
Well, yeah, hallelujah, bring it on after today's wet Monday morning.
I hate barbecues for a start, so we wouldn't...
Yeah.
I think they're horrible things. I get really depressed if I suddenly arrive and they say, oh, we've got a barbecue going for you.
Why? Why don't you like
Well, everything is undercooked or overcooked, and, you know, I just feel it's not healthy.
I love a barbecue.
Oh, no, I think they're awful.
I can't stand them either. And it's always a man thing. If you notice, all the men who normally avoid the kitchen, I know it's a cliche, but normally avoid the kitchen like the plague, they're all there doing the manly thing. I have created fire. I cook food for the women.
Yeah,
it's just like, get over yourself.
And I quite like that, because I think men can stand up and do the cooking. Nice.
But how do you cook an egg on a barbecue if you're doing breakfast?
You put a frying pan on it.
Just don't get this. The other thing I don't like at breakfast time is beans. It's a very...
That's the best part of the breakfast.
It's a very English thing.
Well, see, this is the great debate, isn't it? Do you have beans with an English breakfast?
Yes, you do.
Or an Irish breakfast?
Ulster fry, you wouldn't have beans, would you?
No, the lovely thing about an Ulster fry is the bread, the potato bread and the soda bread.
Oh, I love the soda bread.
Double bread, yeah.
I like baked beans, but not necessarily with breakfast.
Oh, I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat a fry up without beans.
Really?
It's the most important element with the sausage.
This is a survey by a fruit company, by the way, who also found that 1 in 5 of us put peanut butter on burgers and bangers when we're barbecuing.
That's wrong.
Don't do peanut butter either.
No, me neither.
No.
I like peanut butter, but not on a barbecue.
No. But I quite like this idea, having breakfast in the sun on the barbecue.
No, barbecue at breakfast, no.
Will you be having that at your wedding next week?
We are having a barbecue. Maybe I could suggest we start at breakfast time. Maybe.
Very good.
Anyway, not a barbecue on the wedding day. The next day we're doing a barbecue. Dawn, this made me think of you, but it's actually big in the story. Ravers. I love this.
Yeah,
Ravers in their 50s. Love this story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, sort of like we have this image of youngsters being the ones that are into going clubbing, but actually it's more and more people in their 50s are going clubbing and enjoying it. And
you used to go to Ibiza, don't you?
Yeah, one of my best friends is a DJ in Ibiza.
There was me looking through Instagram the other night and dressed up to the nines at the Guns N' Roses concert.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
As Dawn.
Yeah, that was good.
You look amazing.
The thing is, the problem I have with this whole sneering at people in their 50s and 60s to a certain extent going raving is they were the original ravers.
Oh, they do it better than anyone.
They were the ones that started clubbing back in the late 80s, early 90s. So they are the ones that were there first. So all these youngsters, and you do get that look now if you go to a club. Like if I go with my mate and it's like, what are you doing there? Are you someone's granny or something or other? It's like...
No, you're the original ravers.
We're the generation that started it.
And you've got the best music as well.
Yeah.
I think you're an exception, though, Dawn, because I don't know if you've noticed what she's wearing on her feet. They are the most unbelievable shoes you've ever seen in your life.
Fun enough, call me old-fashioned, but I'm wearing shoes.
Jimmy Choos.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but there's hardly anything to them. There's straps and things. Put your leg up. Go on. Look at that.
Wow.
Now, there's our old raver for you, if ever there was one.
And it doesn't bother her.
What am I doing on a Monday morning? Oh, my Lord.
That's her day wear.
Thank you very much, yes. Yes, but I don't wear them at home. I have West Ham slippers at home, Biggins, before you go down that road again.
I've given up my raving days, I must say. I did. I remember.
You a raver?
Oh, yeah. I remember dancing in nightclubs and coming out at 4 in the mornings, absolutely dripping with sweat.
Yeah.
Having a wonderful time, but no more. No, give me a television. Give me
an armchair.
An armchair. Or one of those chairs that you move back, you know, your feet go up. No, that's what I want. I don't want any more raving.
I had a lovely chat during the week with Tony Hadley from Spandau Ballet.
Yeah.
And as you do. And Tony and I go back 45 years or so, and he's a gentleman. He's an absolute lovely fella. And we were just reminiscing about those days in the 80s, the new romantic stuff and whatever. And we were looking at pictures, and my hair was down my back here, and you had all those clothes, and everything was sort of fluffed out and dangling and whatever. But he's still surviving, and he changes his music from that new romantic tradition to crooner stuff like Frank Sinatra or Dean Martin type stuff and whatever as well. But music is music, and I think once you get it and it's in your head, it stays with you.
Yeah, it does, and I don't think you should ever sneer at any generation for enjoying your music. I think, you know, it doesn't matter how old you are.
Certainly not.
If you want to go raving, you want to go clubbing, you want to do whatever you do, just go and do it.
Yeah. I think there's something slightly odd about old people, though, at a rave. I mean, I do think that's rather strange.
Well, Why?
I just think it's not sort of in keeping with the image that I want to portray.
But I was thinking, Biggins,
so
when we were in the old folks' home, right? And do you know why now they do roll out the barrels? Well, we don't want that. That wasn't part of our generation.
Yeah.
So what are we going to sing? Are we going to sing, you know, True Gold, whatever? Are we going to have 80s stuff? Are we going to dance to Rick Astley stuff?
I hope not. Can you imagine?
Something by Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle, I think. I'm there doing that one.
Now, Rick Astley's a guy I admire. He's got such a range with his voice as well. He can really...
And he still sounds great.
He can really sing. He can really sing. These guys will be back singing their hearts out for more stories in about 40 minutes' time. For the moment, thank you very much indeed. Let's say good morning to Jonathan Vaughtry.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Many of us can look forward to a fine and settled week to come with plentiful amounts of sunshine, all courtesy of this area of high pressure that's going to be building in from the Atlantic. It's not quite reached all areas just yet, so there is this lingering weather front across the far southeast of England with some heavy rain first thing. Also, just a few showers pushing through from North Wales, parts of Merseyside, Cheshire region, and a few showers will also generally linger across North Sea coasts. But elsewhere, the sunshine should break through during today, and it will feel relatively pleasant overall compared to the rather cloudy skies we saw over the weekend. Temperatures generally ranging around mid to high teens across parts of Scotland, but we do have quite a brisk northwesterly wind coming in, so it probably will make it feel a touch cooler than what these values may suggest otherwise. But if you manage to get out of the breeze and in that sunshine, it should be pleasant nonetheless. Temperatures further towards the south likely to climb into the 20 degrees of Celsius, around 23 as your highs for Cardiff and London. We could see a few more heavy showers just skirt the east coast of England during this evening and overnight, but otherwise it should stay largely dry for many areas and quite prolonged clear skies. Underneath those clear skies, though, it could be quite a chilly night for the time of year. Rural areas of Scotland may be down into low single figures. Towns and cities generally managing to hold up just in double digits. But that does mean there'll be plentiful amounts of sunshine to start off Tuesday morning as well. Cloud perhaps building for Northern Ireland and the Outer Hebrides with some outbreaks of rain a little later on in the day, and again some showers just lingering around those eastern coastal areas of England. But with lighter winds in that sunshine inland, it will feel really rather nice. Highs now around 25 degrees Celsius in the south. But those temperatures are going to be climbing even further as we head throughout this week, with all of that sunshine close to 30 degrees Celsius later on. Bye-bye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. A road traffic incident is affecting the A9 Aberystwyth southbound, causing slower travel times. Motorists should exercise caution. In Wiltshire, there is a collision on the A303 between the junctions with the A360 and the A345, leading to lane closures and delays of approximately 20 minutes. The M25 anti-clockwise is experiencing congestion between Junction 3 and Junction 2, with delays of about 10 minutes. On the trains, Great Western Railway has a reduced service to and from Falmouth Docks, with disruptions to Gunnerslake. Additionally, Hull Trains has a reduced service in place today. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus text to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister faces a fresh revolt over special needs support.
Senior figures in the Labour Party warn that the plans risk becoming welfare Mark II.
However, as the government insists the changes are not about saving money, will Sir Keir Starmer be able to keep control of his MPs?
Today marks the 20th anniversary of the 7/7 bombings, the UK's first Islamist suicide attack. We'll be looking back on the day that shocked the country and marked a turn in the threat posed to the UK. And we'll be joined by a survivor later in the programme.
Tariffs are going to be the tariffs. I think we'll have most countries done by July 9th.
President Trump has said his team will start reaching out to trade partners with new tariff rates today as the 90-day trade negotiation pause ends.
In Australia, Erin Patterson has been found guilty of murdering her 3 in-laws with death cap mushrooms in Beef Wellington. The verdict ends one of Australia's most intriguing homicide cases.
Calls for action on alcohol. New research finds almost 2/3 of workers are drinking more due to stress or pressures related to their job.
Cam Norrie is carrying GB hopes into the second week at Wimbledon after he came through a 5-set thriller to make the quarter-finals at SW19. And at Silverstone, it was a maiden triumph for Lando Norris at the British Grand Prix.
Join me later for a look at the weather for the forthcoming days, with temperatures set to be climbing as we head throughout this week.
Hello there, very good morning to you, wherever you're watching, however you're listening. Welcome, nice to have you on board. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
And to get us underway on this hour, we are crossing live to Westminster.
We certainly are, to speak to Shadow Minister for Crime, Policing and Fire, Matt Vickers. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr Vickers. Good morning. Can we start by reflecting on the 20th anniversary of 7/7, those bombings that shocked the country and rocked London on that day 20 years ago? What are your reflections? And is the UK any safer now, 2 decades on?
For anybody who can remember.
Oh, it looks as though we've got a few technical problems connecting there to Matt Vickers. We'll try again and get back to Matt Vickers in the next few minutes.
Do you know, it's things like that that could drive me to drink. You saw that headline that we had there, that more and more people feel under stress. And when they're under stress, they turn to alcohol. And yet, I think there's a lot made that people are drinking less and less and less. And this report's saying, actually, put somebody under a bit of pressure, they turn to the bottle.
No great surprise. I think it's happened since the beginning of time.
Oh, yeah.
My profession, came from newspaper journalism. I mean, it was literally awash with booze throughout the 60s, 70s and 80s, right into the 90s.
Totally agree with you. And I think I worked during a period surrounded by functioning alcoholics.
Without question. I mean, some national titles that are still going today would operate on certain days of the week from pubs around Fleet Street.
Yeah.
And you know what used to happen? The bar staff behind the counter, they'd be speaking to individual journalists, groups, they'd overhear conversations, another group from a different paper would come in and they'd be able to blow their exclusive to the next one, maybe even get a few quid for it.
Yeah.
That was the culture.
You look at Ellie here, and there's a culture. but it's pressure with the wedding with you, isn't it?
Oh, no, well, I haven't been drinking, have I?
But I'm saying, when it happens...
I do miss it.
When you get it under the table, that, you know, you're going to celebrate, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait to drink again. Mm-hmm. But I do enjoy a drink. Mm-hmm. I won't deny it. And when I feel stressed at work, I like to go home and have a nice glass of red wine. Yeah. Not at 9 o'clock in the morning.
No, not under the desk.
You see, you said it all, though. You do enjoy a drink, and you've got to enjoy something. See, I don't enjoy a drink.
Have you ever drunk?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's very good.
No. I used to have this thing about, you know, watching people, when I was at school, watching people throw up all the time and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's the thing, why do you want to do that for? And I have a bit of phobia about throwing up, you know, anyway. But I just don't like... the most you get from me is a shandy, you know?
I started drinking shandies a lot recently. I like the sweetness of it. It's not great when you're diabetic, but you can get sugar-free lemonade now. It really helps.
Yeah.
Neither of you need to drink because you've got the gift of the gab. So you don't... It's not like you need it to feel more confident.
But that's the thing. The amount of people that say to me, Eamonn, remember we went on that pub crawl? Eamonn, remember that whole night you were sloshed and whatever it is? This is all imaginary. This didn't happen. But the point is, such good company am I that people think that I am a drinker.
Well, that's a good place to be. Good place to be. Honestly, having not been drinking in the run-up to this, I feel good. I feel fresh. So I don't think there's really any benefit to drinking alcohol.
Well, I think we're going to feel good and fresh as we go to Adam Cherry talking about our top story today.
Yes, because Keir Starmer is facing a fresh backbench revolt over controversial plans to overhaul special needs education.
Now, there are reports that ministers are poised to scrap the system which ensures pupils with special needs such as autism and ADHD get personalised support at school.
But senior party figures warn the reforms risk becoming welfare Mark II, and it comes as the government is facing mounting pressure to balance the books on public finances.
But with millions of children potentially losing legally guaranteed support, furious parents and campaigners are fighting back.
Is Labour steering towards another internal clash? That is a question for GB News reporter Adam Cherry. Very good morning to you, Adam.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Just a week on from that enormous welfare rebellion last week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now we're having this row again. These plans are not due to be put before Parliament until autumn, so a lot could change before then, but already this stuff is leaking out, briefings already taking place in the newspapers, which will tell you, the direction of travel on this. As you said, they say it's not really about saving money, it's about reforming a poor disability system for kids in special needs schools. They spend $12 billion a year currently, but actually it's about early prevention. That's the idea of these reforms. However, you can already see, given what happened in the last week, that backbenchers are really queasy about this. They know that they can force the government to U-turn on it, so they're already making angry noises about it. So we'll have much more to come on this very shortly.
OK, Adam, thank you very much. We'll leave it there. We'll stay in Westminster, though, and try again, shall we, to talk to Matt Vickers, the Shadow Minister for Crime, Policing and Fire. Have you got us, Mr Vickers?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Lovely, and we can hear you too. And thank you for braving the rain for us this morning. Look, we're talking to you about 7/7, 20 years on from the horrors of that day. What are your reflections this morning?
I mean, utterly horrendous situation. And I think, you know what? The memories that you hear from people of that day, of what went on, of the panic of knowing where the family members, where they were travelling to work, have we got hold of them, have we got in touch with them? The panic for everybody in London that day. I wasn't in London, but I've heard from lots of people who were panicked. But for many people, they're still living with the consequences of that day. I'm due to meet some victims tomorrow to talk about that incident, talk through their stories, see whether we've learned all the things we can possibly learn from what was a horrendous and horrific day.
Feel as though the UK is any safer now, 2 decades on, because I'm caught by the front page of the Daily Telegraph this morning that's saying that terrorists inside British prisons are teaching other criminals how to make bombs. This is a national threat in plain sight that's happening right now.
I think we live in an increasingly dangerous world with terrorists and fanatics and terrible things happening on the international stage. But actually, we've got some incredible people working in national security in this country who work day and night, who are constantly getting involved in these issues and preventing all sorts of things, the advent of technology and where we've got to now. But actually, when you talk about prisons, one of the big debates is around what happens to foreign national offenders, the pressure on prison places, whether those people should be deported, which is my party's policy, whether we should be disapplying that Human Rights Act to those people who come from abroad and commit horrendous crimes in this country.
Can we talk about Sir Keir Starmer facing a fresh backbench revolt, potentially? These are over controversial plans to overhaul special needs education. This is about pupils that might have autism or ADHD currently getting personalised support at school. That is now potentially being scrapped. What do you make of those plans?
Well, I think Keir Starmer's been in office a year and he's completely lost control of his own party. We saw it last week with that welfare bill that became an absolute sham. But actually, this is a really serious issue for many people across the country, for many constituents in my part of the world. And those education healthcare plans give legal guarantees to young people with special educational needs that they can get the care and the support that they need in educational settings. They need protections, they need this support, and I think it's right, hopefully, that some of those backbench MPs on the Labour benches are going to get stuck in and hold him to account so that these youngsters can get the care and support that they need.
Position of the Tories right now, because there's a leaked tape over the weekend from Baroness McLean, who is one of the top aides to Kemi Badenoch, as you will be aware. And in this leaked tape, she is heard saying that the Tories have finished apologising to the public now, after a year of this Labour government. They now need to look to the future and focus on policy. But then you've got other top Tories saying, no, we need at least 2 years of reflection. What's your position on all of this?
So I hear lots of people giving us lots of strategic advice and having lots of opinions, but actually it's all about context. We just talked about SEND and education and healthcare plans. Actually, we've got a record to be proud of on that, in the sense that lots more to do, but actually record investment in creating SEND school places and alternative provision. That's progress. When you look at things like immigration and you see how tough that was and how badly wrong it was, but you look at the record of what's going on, it's on us to get involved in the issues of the day, look at them in the context and have the debate of the day so that we can deliver that value for our constituents. Not have a discussion about where we are, where we weren't, what went wrong. I'm sure the last government got lots of things wrong, but by gum are this government getting lots more wrong.
You know, Matt, talking about delivering for constituents, how does 100 million quid to Syria deliver for constituents? I'm genuinely curious, because if the bank is broke, there's no money to go around for all sorts of projects, all sorts. Why are we giving 100 million quid to Syria? Do you agree with that?
I must admit I've missed the detail on this one, but I think actually whenever we're putting money abroad, we need to look at how it's being spent, where it's being spent and how it could possibly be in our national interest. All too often we send money abroad for the wrong reasons, and actually we see the challenges back home in this country. We see the damage that this Labour government are doing to our economy and the cost that it's having for real people. We look, you know, whatever it might be, unemployment on the rise, inflation almost doubled since this government came to office, and the amount of money that we're paying to borrow is now through the roof. The debt interest is higher than the amount of money we're spending on education. It's all going the wrong way.
Hey, Matt Vickers, we're out of time with you this morning, but thank you for braving the rain for us.
Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
That's twice you thanked him for
I feel really bad. Do you know what? The first thing I thought about this morning when I came in was those poor politicians standing in the rain.
Did you?
Yeah.
That would be the last thing I would think of or care about, to be quite truthful. What you were really thinking about was what the rain was doing to you.
Oh, yeah. I'm in a right state this morning. I fake tanned and then I got out of the taxi this morning and the fake tan has run all down my legs. It's all patchy.
It's like varicose veins you have down there. It just looks like that.
It's really bad. This is girl problems, exactly. It's not good.
But listen, it's great. I'm really excited for you this week because tomorrow you head off.
Tomorrow I head off.
And the whole celebrations start on... Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
3-day extravaganza.
Yeah. And then you take all those drunken people and you pack them off home again. That's
we
it.
do.
Yeah.
And hopefully they've had a lovely weekend.
And are you going to, while you're in France, are you going to have a holiday?
Yeah,
or?
we're going to have a week afterwards.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to drink.
Good girl.
Again.
Good.
And eat again.
We're very pleased about
Can't wait. Yeah. Hopefully the sun will be shining for us.
Yeah, because if you're wearing false tan today, let's see if you have to be worried about wherever the rain's coming down.
Not the day for
Jonathan Vautry with that.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather updates provided by the Met Office. Many of us can look forward to a fine and settled week to come with plentiful amounts of sunshine, all courtesy of this area of high pressure that's going to be building in from the Atlantic. It's not quite reached all areas just yet, so there is this lingering weather front across the far southeast of England with some heavy rain first thing. Also, just a few showers pushing through from North Wales, parts of Merseyside, Cheshire region, and a few showers will also generally linger across North Sea coasts. But elsewhere, the sunshine should break through during today and it will feel relatively pleasant overall compared to the rather cloudy skies we saw over the weekend. Temperatures generally ranging around mid to high teens across parts of Scotland, but we do have quite a brisk northwesterly wind coming in, so it probably will make it feel a touch cooler than what these values may suggest otherwise. But if you manage to get out of the breeze and in that sunshine, it should be pleasant nonetheless. Temperatures further towards the south likely to climb into the 20 degrees of Celsius, around 23 as your highs for Cardiff and London. We could see a few more heavy showers just skirt the east coast of England during this evening and overnight, but otherwise it should stay largely dry for many areas and quite prolonged clear skies. Underneath those clear skies, though, it could be quite a chilly night for the time of year. Rural areas of Scotland may be down into low single figures. Towns and cities generally managing to hold up just in double digits. But that does mean there'll be plentiful amounts of sunshine to start off Tuesday morning as well. Cloud perhaps building for Northern Ireland and the Outer Hebrides with some outbreaks of rain a little later on in the day, and again some showers just lingering around those eastern coastal areas of England. But with lighter winds in that sunshine inland, it will feel really rather nice. Highs now around 25 degrees Celsius in the south. But those temperatures are going to be climbing even further as we head throughout this week with all of that sunshine close to 30 degrees Celsius later on. Bye-bye.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
And there's still plenty of time to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize in the Great British Giveaway.
Yes, an incredible £54,321 and it's all tax-free.
Could you do with that this weekend?
I really could,
pay for the everything that's going to happen.
Unfortunately, I can't enter, although I'd love to, and I'm desperately in need. But you can, and here's how.
You have the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just the chance to sit back, relax, and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Ellie's just shown me all the things she has to pack up for her wedding in France.
You're going to be sick of hearing about this. I
what do you
promise
have?
I'll
Do
be
you have
gone
a bus?
tomorrow.
Do you have a
don't
bus?
Need to hear about it anymore. A van, but it's more like a lorry. It's very big. It's the biggest one that you can drive without a special license.
So you're not even driving in luxury to where you're going.
Yeah. People keep going, wait, are you going in the van? I'm like, yes, I'm going in the van.
And you go coming home in the van too.
No, my brother's bringing it back, thank goodness.
That's good.
Flying back.
Yeah, 18 minutes past 8 o'clock on this Monday. Thank you for your company this morning. Still to come, today marks the 20th anniversary of the 7/7 bombings.
Yeah, we're going to be looking back on the day that shocked the country and marked a turn in the threat posed to the UK. That's next.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Is J.K. Rowling an extremist, radicalised TERF?
It's extraordinarily patronising to suggest that a woman who's created whole new magical worlds from her own imagination has to be radicalised by other people in order to form her own views. That in itself I find extremely patronising. And, you know, a man may think that women don't have our own rich inner life and form our own political views, but we do, as Nana's just demonstrated. But secondly, there's nothing radical about believing that men and women are material realities, and sometimes in law, in policy, in life, that matters. That's her position. It's a very common, in fact, it's a majority position.
James, what is a woman?
But that's Nana.
Well, I'm just wondering. Well, it's just a simple question because I'm just asking, what is a woman then? Because do you believe that a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man?
Yes, because man and woman is gendered.
So what is a woman? So what is a woman?
Male and there is female, which is sex. This is the problem that I think a lot of you have. I'm a feminist. I believe in women's rights. I believe in women's safety. But the problem here is we are focusing on an absolute minority of people who have no, when you look at it in the round, who have no threat to women. Statistically,
you don't know that. You listen. In the way the threat to women.
Sorry, not in the way that men are. This is the whole problem. Is that you saying man dressing up as a woman?
Yes.
That's despicable, Nana.
Well, it's the truth.
That is not the reality.
What else?
Nana, do you have any trans friends?
I have plenty of them.
Do you mix with trans people?
I have mixed with trans people. I mix with all people.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
20 years today since the devastating terrorist attacks on the London transport system.
Well, 52 people died and almost 800 people were injured when 4 terrorists detonated bombs on the London Underground and on a double-decker bus.
Our Home and Security Editor, Mark White. It's a very personal look about this because not only was Mark working on the story as a journalist, but also he lived in one of the areas affected.
Something's gone badly wrong. We really don't know at the moment. It's loud bangs.
We need ambulances and water to King's Cross. I understand what you're saying. And Russell Square. Russell Square is a priority. We're going to have it as a major incident, so we'll get ambulances to you wherever I can. Okay, thanks, mate.
An attack in the heart of our capital city. The London bombings were designed to strike commuters at the height of rush hour. 3 underground trains and a bus were the targets. But as shocking as this mass casualty attack was, it also marked a sinister turn in the threat Britain now faced. The first suicide bombings in this country. So many people here in London and far beyond have stories to tell about the horrors of 7/7. For me, it was quite literally the day Islamist terrorism landed on my doorstep. Around the time of 7/7, I was living in this apartment block. That iconic red double-decker bus blew up just yards further up the road there. And Russell Square, another blast site, is just across the road. It was a Piccadilly line train between King's Cross and Russell Square which saw the greatest loss of life. 26 died here.
I'm the supervisor at Aldgate. We've just had a big explosion. There appears to be something ahead of the train in the track.
There may be fatalities. We don't know anything about that.
Another 7 were killed near Aldgate Station in East London. 6 died at Edgware Road Station in West London. And 13 lost their lives when a double-decker bus was blown up at Tavistock Square, just yards from the site of the blast at Russell Square. Russell Square was my local tube station. On 7/7, I was fortunate to be on a day off. Otherwise, around the time of the bombing, I'd have been right here trying to catch a westbound Piccadilly line train. So many of us feel fortunate that fate intervened that day. But as well as the 52 who died, almost 800 were injured, and thousands of others will never forget what they saw. I ended up reporting live from the roof of my apartment building as the full horror of those events unfolded.
Looking down onto Russell Square, high up on a rooftop here, looking down onto Russell Square tube station at the moment. There's a row of about 20 ambulances immediately outside the tube station. Also, fire rescue vehicles, firefighters are down in Russell Square tube station itself. There are numerous, what are obviously doctors in these familiar orange boiler suits as well, either going down into the tunnel or emerging with casualties.
Those were murderous attacks on London, on our city, that affected so many people so deeply. I think it's really important 20 years on that our focus is on all of those people affected. The other thing my mind turns to are the emergency services and others who stepped forward on that day, and they and the families and the victims. What strikes me is how they're still carrying the effects of that day through to today and for the rest of their lives.
As well as the first suicide bombings, 7/7 marked the advent for the UK of more sophisticated terror cells aimed at causing so-called spectacular attacks. 2 decades on, the UK's most senior counter-terrorism officer says the threat picture has mostly moved away from the more sophisticated plots to an era of lone wolf attacks, individuals still willing to die for their twisted ideology and still looking to cause maximum harm.
So we still see the Islamist threat as our main threat here in the United Kingdom. And with an ever-increasing and unstable world as well, we do see terrorist groups overseas beginning to have an influence on terrorism threats in near Europe and of course here in the UK. So Islamist remains our main threat. And I think the online environment, the world environment, adds a whole new layer of challenge to the threat that we face.
I know it sounds a bit like a cliche, but I honestly can't believe that 20 years have passed since the horrors of the London bombings, a day when the 52 innocent lives represented here were so murderously cut short, and the lives of so many others forever changed. Mark White, GB News at the 7/7 Memorial.
Thank you, Mark. And we dedicate that film and the memory that a lot of people have today, 20 years on, to all of those who died and the hundreds and hundreds of people who were injured.
Yeah, and if you join us at about 9:15 this morning, we are going to be speaking to a survivor of the 7/7 bombings, Dan Beadle. So don't miss that, about 9:15 this morning.
Here's the traffic update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A9 southbound at Aberystwyth, there's a road traffic incident requiring caution and longer travel times. The A303 eastbound in Wiltshire has a collision causing lane closures and 30-minute delays. On the M25 anti-clockwise, there's congestion between junctions 30 and 28. In South Wales, roadworks on the M4 eastbound require diversions. And on the trains, Great Western Railway has reduced service to and from Falmouth Docks, with disruptions to and from Gunnislake. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Oh dear, that is fantastic. Our producer had just been talking to Eamonn, but on the wrong button for 2.5 hours. And you just went,
haven't heard a word
this morning, haven't heard a word. He went, is he still with us or is he passed away? No, he's very much here. He's just been talking to you on the wrong button.
I just assumed he was slumped dead in the corner. No one had bothered to sort of...
Oh, bless him. He has been talking to you, just on the wrong button.
Oh.
But the utmost professional, been doing all of that with no guidance. That's great.
Often on the wrong button, I am. This is full stop. Aidan McGee, he's on the right button. We're with him right after this break, and we hope we have your company for that.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Aidan's with us now to talk things sport, and we're talking about Match of the Day coming back. No Gary Lineker, but the papers today reporting that there will be a Wayne Rooney.
Correct, yes. It looks like he's going to sign a 2-year deal worth £800,000 over that period of time. There'll be clauses factored in as well. You know, if he gets a big opportunity in management, he'll probably be free to take that if it suits what he wants to do. But I think he'll be drafted in as a pundit on the Saturday show. You can't argue with the career he's had. I think he's very good, actually. I don't know what you feel, but I think
he's a superb analyst.
Yeah,
I think he's very good.
And we call it Aston value, don't we, in TV? When you see his name, you know that he's somebody who's going to be an authority on whatever they're talking about, particularly on those big games. Yeah. I think he'd be useful on a Sunday, actually, because that's when the really big games, that's when United play Liverpool, it's when the top six play each other, and that evening slot there would be ideal for him. And also, let's consider that he might be a bit world-weary of management. I mean, he took over Derby, he didn't keep them up, that's 5 years ago.
Well, this is more showbiz. You think of what being a pundit's done for someone like Peter Crouch.
Yes, exactly.
So it completely reinvented him.
Without doubt. And he was somebody who was never interested in management. But it's just, people have to understand it. It's a completely different skill set being a top player going into management. Just because you can't impart your message onto players who are never as good as you and will never be as good as you doesn't mean you can't get into a studio and offer meaningful analysis on top games where it's necessary. I think there's a lot of people bluffing out there when it comes to punditry. Yeah. I think it'd be good to see him in the studio. He's a bit of star quality as well.
You see, are there any pundits that make you switch on? I mean, if Roy Keane's on, I listen, I watch him. I like Gary Neville as well.
I like Roy. The reason I like Roy Keane is because he doesn't go overboard on all the tactics. There are more. If you speak to a modern analyst, they're taught talk tactics, talk false nines, talk transitions, all this nonsense that used to be called different names in yesteryear. He talks about the heart of a player, how much someone wants it, whether they can handle the pressure, the most underestimated thing in the game. Can you handle the pressure? You can be a great player for 4 or 5 other clubs. Can you get to Man United when you've not won a trophy in so many years and deliver for them? The answer in most of those cases is no, and that's because pressure is brought to bear on these individuals, and they cannot cope. And Roy Keane makes that point forcibly every week when nobody else seems to do it, and that's why he earns his place on any punditry couch in the land.
And who's dealing with the pressure at Wimbledon?
Dealing with the well, I'll tell you what, I was worried about Cam Norrie yesterday because at 2-2, having led by 2 sets, I thought he was going to blow it. I really did, and I thought this is a classic example of a player who hadn't been deep in many tournaments, on show courts, and wasn't going to be able to cope with it and see the job through. Credit to him, he did win it in 5 sets. The problem he's got now, though, is that he's got Alcaraz in the next round. Nonetheless, he was absolutely delighted yesterday when he spoke after the match.
I had my concentration extremely well and my level was high, the atmosphere was so good, a lot of fun, and I was really impressed with Nico's attitude. He came to compete every point, and I could have won it in straight sets there, but credit to him. But I'm really proud about my attitude and stayed so tough throughout the whole match. So I think that was the difference.
He's won his last 8 matches on court 1, so he'll be hoping when the draw's made, or when it's not a draw actually, it's determined where he's going to play. He'll be hoping that he gets court 1 instead of centre court. I wouldn't want to play Alcaraz on centre court, that's for sure.
Neither would I.
No.
We're pinning all of our hopes on him because he's the last Brit in the competition, isn't he? And
Yes.
Can we have a quick look at Lando Norris?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely fantastic from him.
Brilliant.
It was a rain-soaked track. He wasn't one of the favourites, but I mentioned last hour, didn't I, when it was qualifying and Max Verstappen gave that wonderful last lap, but still 0.23 of a second separated.
Yeah.
Well, there was plenty of celebrating afterwards, I can assure you, but 0.23 in qualifying separating the top 6. We're showing signs now, Eamonn, of competition. We have not seen competition in F1 in the last 4 years. Also, any idea that Lewis Hamilton was going to get into a red car and suddenly start dominating again, fanciful in the extreme. You can't just, at the age of 40, step into a car and take on a bloke who's won 4 in a row.
The question is it the car, is it the bloke?
I don't know. I would always say a mix of both. Actually, you've got to be skillful to handle that thing. Yeah. And the more technically proficient it is, the more technically proficient the driver has to be. But at least there's a few contenders there.
I tell you what,
Brits.
if you're going to win anything as a Brit, to win the British Grand Prix,
without doubt, it holds its place on the schedule as well. Even though it's not as glamorous in terms of how the stadium looks, how the track, the intricacies of the track, but it holds its place there.
OK, good man. Lovely hearing from you,
this morning.
Thank you very much. Good to see you this morning. And we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Indeed.
OK, thank you. We'll take a break there.
We will. We'll be going through the papers with Dawn Neeson and Christopher Biggins. But first, let's see where the sun is shining across Europe.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The heat wave across Europe is increasingly becoming confined to eastern areas of the country. Temperatures here could locally still be 5–10 degrees above normal for the year. On the edge of that heat, though, there are some heavy thunderstorms breaking out for the Balkans and over the Alps. Generally further towards the west, though, temperatures now easing back towards average, but northerly winds bringing a touch of cloud to parts of Iberia, as well as Madeira and Tenerife. Generally, though, for many areas over the next few days, there will be a lot of sunshine around.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Where Anna Riley, our intrepid reporter, is doing the toughest job in television right now, which is enjoying the sunshine. Anna.
Yes, Tom, it's definitely a tough gig for me today, I'll tell you. I'm on the Bridlington Fun Park ride here. This is the Zero Gravity ride. This fun park is, off we go. This fun park is right next to the sea. Oh, it goes quite quickly, I'll tell you. And people are out enjoying rides like this one. Off we go. It's a great boost for tourism, and we've been speaking to people here in Bridlington about what's so great about the sunshine. Let's have a listen.
We're on holiday. We've been here since last Friday, so we can't complain. It's been beautiful, and we're here till Monday, so we're really looking forward to the hot weather. As you can see, the sunburn.
It's lovely. It really is very nice. It's absolutely gorgeous. We deserve it, definitely.
It's good. We like the warm weather.
Yes, very nice. Loving it. Yes, like the warm
enough.
weather.
Woo! Well, this ride is showing no signs of stopping, and neither is the sunshine. We're getting that heat wave at the weekend. Enjoy the weather and enjoy fun rides like this one. Get to Bridlington and get to the fun park.
Oh my gosh! Absolute bravo, Anna Riley. What an incredible piece of television. I hope they let you off at some point.
I thought they'd only do it once or twice. Bless her.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Dawn Neeson and Biggins with stories that are catching their eyes in the newspapers this morning. Good to have you back, guys. Let's talk about small boats, Dawn, first of all, and this is in the Sun.
Yeah, this is it. And nearly 4 times as many small boat migrants had made it to Britain in 1 week, and then the French managed to stop, basically. A total of 703 crossed the Channel in 7 days last week, while the French managed to stop just 191. Now, we all saw those pictures where the French police on the beach were stabbing that dinghy, deflating the dinghy. Yeah. Everyone's thinking, great, what a great idea. Many of us came up with this idea, you know, when this first started, just burst the dinghies, it would stop them leaving. But obviously that's not in the French interest as well. So we all thought, great, this is a change of plan, but it's not. the French issued a statement over the weekend saying, no, that was a one-off. We're not actually doing this. We have no plans to do this.
Why aren't they planning to do that?
Well, this is what is half a billion pound question. That's how much money we've given them.
That's what they should be doing.
Yeah, it's the simple solution. But they say the gendarmes are different to the French police, and the French police are saying no. This is dangerous for us to do. We did it once because that boat was in danger of sinking. There was actually a child on it, so we had to do it with that boat. But we have no plans to make this a policy. So it's just going to carry on as it is. It's ridiculous. And we're giving them £500 million.
Yeah, and the pictures are just so damaging for this government, aren't they? I mean, when you see the French police with a cigarette in their hand, watching these overfilled dinghies go on those dangerous crossings.
And it is dangerous, and people are losing their lives, and it's got to be stopped, but no one seems to be able to do it.
Isn't Macron here on a state visit?
Yes, he is.
Well, I think that we should be telling him what to do.
Well, we've got Keir Starmer arguing our case here. How confident are you?
Biggins, are you a Wimbledon aficionado?
I adore Wimbledon.
And have you been to the tournament? Have you been to...
No, and I tell you, I usually go, but I much prefer to be watching it at home on my television because you get a better view.
It's true.
And you don't have that terrible drive to get there or, you know, and then you're there and your head's going like this. And, you know, there's so many distractions. It's much better at home. But, of course, the interesting thing is, and this story is about AI, because when Wimbledon started this year, I looked and I thought, well, where are those extraordinary people who used to say out or in, you know, at the
line judges?
The line judges. And I love them because they were all wonderful shapes and sizes and it used to make me laugh. But now they've gone in favour of AI. And apparently there are 4 different voices that challenge when it's out. And yesterday at Wimbledon, there was a wonderful moment when Anastasia, I can't pronounce her second name at all, suddenly the ball was absolutely out, but AI refused to acknowledge it because it had broken down. So it broke down for the whole of that set. And she got, quite rightly, very, very angry about it.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
You would.
Yeah.
It's the tennis version of VAR in football, isn't it? You know, before it came in, everyone was thinking, oh, this would be a great idea. It's going to solve all the problems in football. You know, we will now have no more dodgy decisions. And that went terribly. And this is the same thing in tennis.
I miss the people at the ends, you know, saying, yes, that's in or that's out, and shouting or what have you. I mean, interesting enough, I couldn't believe they have 4 different voices, you know, which to make it look as though there are people there.
Biggins, have you got a Wimbledon towel?
Well, I do need some new towels, and I think what I might do is I might go and see if I can go to Wimbledon and play for a couple of days, because apparently they are stealing towels like nobody's business.
I would, wouldn't you?
Of course I would.
I love the Wimbledon towel.
Absolutely, but about 500 a day are going missing by a lot of the top players who are earning a fortune anyway.
I know, but we're doing it because it's a souvenir.
Yeah, I know.
And it's very easy to forget. You've been playing for those tennis matches goes on for hours and hours and hours. I mean, potentially you've been playing for an entire day. You're hot, you're sweaty, you're tired. It falls in your sports bag. I mean, it happens.
And also, you've been using it to wipe the sweat from your brow, so you might as well take them because no one else wants them.
I mean, we were in the Royal Box once, name dropping here. We've been several times actually, and it was one of those really, really cold summer days you get, and they give you a blanket to put over your knees in the Royal Box. And it was so cold, Ellie, stop looking at me like that. I accidentally walked out with it around my shoulders, and it sits very nicely on our sofa.
I can't blame you. I'd be in the market for one of those as well.
I did, but it was because it was so cold.
But that's why you're not asked back into the Royal Box.
Nobody's
that was the last time you were
I know, that was the last time I was asked,
Dawn, there's going to be the possibility of more new doctor strikes.
Oh, this is really going to cheer everybody up, isn't it? There is a fresh round of strikes by resident doctors, what we used to call junior doctors. They are seeking a 29% pay rise. They've already had 28.9% over the past 3 years. And there is a ballot going on tomorrow, and if it goes ahead, and there's a quote from someone from the BMA saying they're excited about the potential of going on strike. Thank you for that. It could start this month and go on for 6 months, so the rest of the year. And look, I appreciate that they do an amazing job, and they're probably not paid enough, but we are in a crisis. We've got to get money from somewhere, and if they go on strike because they want this ridiculous pay rise compared to most people, where are we going to be? We don't have the money to pay them. The NHS is already on its knees, maybe getting slightly better. It's just going to set it back even further. But it was the turn of phrase. It's like, we are excited about the potential for going on strike, and it's like...
Well, they know that it gets results, because it got results last time.
Because that's the problem, Ellie.
Yeah.
But how long can the results go on for? I mean, there's not an endless pit, is there?
Yeah.
That's the sad
Well, there seems to be an endless or a bottomless pit when you're giving money to Syria.
Yeah, well, a good point made earlier by Eamonn.
But maybe the government should... I mean, when they looked into settling with the doctors the first time, and you could argue they needed to because the strike's been dragging on for so long, then implement an efficiency clause. Get those waiting lists down, get waiting times down in hospitals down, and then maybe we can take a look at your pay.
Yeah. Well, they have been... The board have assessed that they are deserving of a 5.4% award, but they've said, no, we want another 22%.
It's a lot of money. Biggins. You like your restaurants, don't you?
I do. This is an interesting story. Suddenly, Bangkok outshines Paris in restaurants. I mean, it now is the place to go to eat. If you want to get ant larvae, which, of course, is delicious, and dried fish soup, or squid, strawberry and salted egg. Oh, I can't think of anything. I might go and get one from M&S later on. But, I mean, it's suddenly taken over, and I think that's interesting because I think Paris is losing it food-wise. I think it's it's old-fashioned. It's not moving with the times. Whereas I think in Bangkok, obviously, the food there is so exciting. I mean, I love that sort of food.
I haven't been. It's on my to-do list for sure.
Oh, you'd love it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with Paris at the moment, Paris is just getting such a bad reputation as well with the migrant situation and the riots they have going on there.
Crime.
Yeah, it's not somewhere that people are wanting to go. And there was a survey recently about female travellers, Ellie, and the cities they feel least safe in. At the top of that list was Brussels in Belgium, ironically.
Really?
And Paris is number 3.
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Well, no, that's why I was surprised, Eamonn. You would have thought it would be somewhere sort of like, slightly more exotic, but no, it was
like
Brussels.
Bangkok.
Yeah, like Bangkok, but no, it was Brussels, and because there's a migrant issue there, so women on their own travelling, wandering the streets, will get catcalls and harassed, and the same as Paris.
Really interesting that you say that, because I was talking to my friend at the weekend who'd just come back from Paris and said, "Oh, how was it?" And we've been together before, and we had a lovely time, and she said, I hated it. It has changed the city so much. And she said it's gangs of men on the corner catcalling. She felt so intimidated the whole weekend. She just wanted to come home. Yeah. Hated it. So she feels the city has changed.
It's a good job I like Oriental food. I'll be happy enough in Bangkok.
Yeah?
Yeah, so would I.
Have a lovely time.
Absolutely.
Maybe stay clear of the dried fish soup, though. And the squid strawberries, no thank you.
So, Dawn, we've had our chat about Wayne Rooney in the sports section today. The talk is he'll be hired as a match of the day pundit. Aidan and I both think he's very, very good. What's your view as a football fan?
Good. This is the front page of The Sun today. It's an exclusive. Yeah, I mean, Rooney, £800,000 to do match of the day commentary, basically replacing Lineker. And, he's 39 and, he's very likeable. He's had a good career in football. But the thing I like about this story is Wayne Rooney might have his faults, and we all know what they are, but he's not political. It's not going to be like Gary Lineker suddenly going off opining about Palestine and Gaza and sort of like being that divisive. It's just going to talk about the football.
Well, bring it back to the sport, yeah.
That's what it should be about. That's, I think, what football fans want. I don't want a political lecture. I just want someone to tell me what's going on the pitch.
I think his marriage is wonderful because I think she has been fantastic.
Oh, she's so classy.
She is so classy. And I think, when we watched Celebrity Get Me Out of Here, she came through so strongly. I adore her. I mean, I don't know her, but I think she's wonderful. And I think as a couple, they're great.
She's very strong to put up with some of the hijinks that her husband has put up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a classy lady.
Tell us about this story about this nurse in Turkey. So she had breast operations in Turkey. So she's still there 3 months after the op.
in agony. What I find interesting is that why women would... I mean, I know why women go to Turkey or these far-fled countries to have operations, because it's cheaper.
It's cost, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, why would you do it knowing... I mean, this is not a one-off. This is happening all the time.
Yeah.
People are going there for serious operations and dying. And, you know, just because of the cost. I think don't go and don't have the operation.
The thing is, this was a cosmetic operation. It wasn't something she needed.
No.
She's now in danger of losing her nipples.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds terrible. I mean, really, poor girl. And she can't leave either. She can't leave Turkey to go home because that's where she has to complete the
Well, the flight would be
treatment.
so risky as well in terms of infection.
Absolutely.
And things.
I knew a very famous actress, which I can't name the name, but she went to have her boobs enlarged and she came back to England and one went down on the flight. So she had to stay on the flight and go back again.
Sorry, it's not funny, but...
She had to stay and go back again.
Yes, because during the flight it deflated.
Literally deflated.
And so she stayed on the plane and went back because they had to do it again, you know.
Oh, gosh.
But and she was quite well known. I'll tell you afterwards who it was.
Oh, go on, yeah, absolutely.
But it's like I know someone who went to her wedding in a van and everything deflated in the van. It was terrible.
Don't jinx me.
I wonder who that would be, Ellie Costello.
I tell you, I hope she's not stopped by customs.
No, exactly.
Every time we go through
Speaking
that checklist.
Yeah, I need to print out all of my documents saying that I'm legit because I don't want them to think that I'm bringing anything over the border.
A day and a half in a van with your husband-to-be driving to your wedding.
Pray for us, please, and our marriage.
Good luck.
It's being tested.
Are you taking booze with you or you're picking the booze up there?
Picking the booze up en route.
Oh, right. Do you know where you're going to pick the booze up?
Calais.
Oh, right.
Mega
Biggins, thank you very much indeed for today. Dawn, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate it.
Good luck with the wedding.
Thank you very much.
Say thank you and goodbye and hello to Jonathan.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather updates provided by the Met Office. Many of us can look forward to a fine and settled week to come with plentiful amounts of sunshine, all courtesy of this area of high pressure that's going to be building in from the Atlantic. It's not quite reached all areas just yet, so there is this lingering weather front across the far southeast of England with some heavy rain first thing. Also, just a few showers pushing through from North Wales, parts of Merseyside, Cheshire region, and a few showers will also generally linger across North Sea coasts. But elsewhere, the sunshine should break through during today and it will feel relatively pleasant overall compared to the rather cloudy skies we saw over the weekend. Temperatures generally ranging around mid to high teens across parts of Scotland, but we do have quite a brisk northwesterly wind coming in, so it probably will make it feel a touch cooler than what these values may suggest otherwise. But if you manage to get out of the breeze and in that sunshine, it should be pleasant nonetheless. Temperatures further towards the south likely to climb into the 20 degrees of Celsius, around 23 as your highs for Cardiff and London. We could see a few more heavy showers just skirt the east coast of England during this evening and overnight, but otherwise it should stay largely dry for many areas and quite prolonged clear skies. Underneath those clear skies, though, it could be quite a chilly night for the time of year. Rural areas of Scotland may be down into low single figures. Towns and cities generally managing to hold up just in double digits. But that does mean there'll be plentiful amounts of sunshine to start off Tuesday morning as well. Cloud perhaps building for Northern Ireland and the Outer Hebrides with some outbreaks of rain a little later on in the day, and again some showers just lingering around those eastern coastal areas of England. But with lighter winds in that sunshine inland, it will feel really rather nice. Highs now around 25 degrees Celsius in the south. But those temperatures are going to be climbing even further as we head throughout this week with all of that sunshine close to 30 degrees Celsius later on. Bye-bye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Exercise caution on the A9 Dornoch Bridge due to high winds. M4 eastbound is closed between Junction 28 Tredegar Park and Junction 24 Coldra for maintenance, with diversions in place. In Surrey, the M25 anti-clockwise entry slip at junction 12 has congestion with a 10-minute build-up. In Wiltshire, an accident on the A303 eastbound between the A360 and the A345 caused lane closures with a 10-minute delay. And on the trains, Great Western Railway reduced services to Falmouth Docks, and Greater Anglia services face disruptions between Witham and Braintree. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. The Prime Minister faces a fresh revolt over special needs support.
Senior figures in the Labour Party warn that the plans risk becoming welfare Mark II.
As the government insists the changes are not about saving money, will Sir Keir Starmer be able to keep control of his MPs?
Today, as we've been pointing out, marks the 20th anniversary of the 7/7 bombings, Britain's first Islamist suicide attack. We will be looking back on the day that shocked the country and marked a turn in the threat posed to the UK. We'll be speaking to a survivor who was within touching distance of the lead suicide bomber on that morning.
Tariffs are going to be the tariffs. I think we'll have most countries done by July 9th.
President Trump has said his team will start reaching out to trade partners today with new tariff rates as the 90-day trade negotiation pause ends this week.
A lady called Erin Patterson has been found guilty of murdering her 3 in-laws with death-cap mushrooms. This was in a beef Wellington, and the verdict ends one of Australia's most intriguing murder cases.
Calls for action on alcohol. New research finds almost 2/3 of workers are drinking more due to stress and pressures related to their job.
Join me later for a look at the weather for the forthcoming days, with temperatures set to be climbing as we head throughout this week.
On this Monday morning, a very good morning to you. Thank you for your company. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. And to our top story this morning, and Sir Keir Starmer is facing a fresh backbench revolt over controversial plans to overhaul special needs education.
Now, there are reports that ministers are poised to scrap the system which ensures pupils with special needs, such as autism and ADHD, get personalised support whilst they're at school.
But senior party figures warn the reforms risk becoming welfare Mark II, and it comes as the government is facing mounting pressure to balance the books on the public finances.
But with millions of children potentially losing legally guaranteed support, furious parents and campaigners are fighting back.
Is Labour steering towards another internal clash? That's a question for GB News political reporter Adam Cherry. Morning to you, Adam.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, so the briefing here that we're receiving in the newspapers today from the government is that actually this is not about saving money. This is about reforming and improving outcomes for disabled children. However, it doesn't look like the backbenchers are buying that. They think this is a Treasury sort of orthodoxy plan to find some savings because, of course, in the autumn, otherwise, it looks like the country is facing tax rises. It's all about reforming what are known as EHCPs, which is that bespoke care that you just mentioned for disabled children. It's legally binding. There are talks of scaling that back and actually focusing on on earlier measures and focusing on care in mainstream schools rather than specialist schools. But really, this is just a consequence. Politically, it's a consequence of the welfare rebellion last week. The government was wounded. The backbenchers can see that any sort of cut, any sort of saving, they can pounce on and prevent. And all of that really is leading to the budget in autumn, which looks like it's going to be a tax-raiding budget once again.
OK. Adam Cherry there for us in Westminster. Thank you very much. Let's stay in Westminster, shall we, and speak to Early Years Minister Stephen Morgan, who joins us now. Very good morning to you, Mr Morgan.
Good morning.
Stephen, these, appropriately enough, you're representing early years for kids at school. And those early years could be transformed, really, with the right support as proposed in this bill.
You're absolutely right, Eamonn. I mean, what we've announced there is our Best Start in Life strategy. We want to make sure that every child, wherever they live in the country, they get the best start in life and more support for parents. This is on top of what we announced yesterday in terms of Best Start centres across our country in every local authority area. We know that when we invest in early education, it makes a big difference to children's lives and improves their life chances later in life. So a really good strategy that we're announcing today. We're going to be working with the sector to bring about change on quality, on access and on places. So hopefully this will make a big difference up and down our country.
Well, the best start in life for children with special educational needs, because we're being briefed in the papers this morning that the government is poised to scrap the system which ensures that pupils with special needs such as autism and ADHD get personalised support at school. Can you confirm this morning that this is something that the government is looking at scrapping?
We inherited a system which was failing families and failing vulnerable children. So we're listening really carefully to what experts, parents and others have to tell us. The previous government said the system was lose, lose, lose. We know it's broken, and that's why we're working really hard to make sure the system is fit for the future. In my brief, it's really important that early identification and intervention on SEND will make a big difference, and that's a key part of the work that we're doing ahead of a white paper that will come out later this year.
So are you looking to scrap the system for children with special educational needs?
I talk to parents all the time, obviously in my own constituency, on visits that I do and those that write to me, and they would agree that the system just isn't working at the moment, and our priority is to get it right at the right place for every child. We've put more money into SEND. We put $1 billion in high needs funding in last year. We've put more money in for capital, so more places in mainstream settings as well. Our Best Start centres, there will be dedicated professionals in those centres to support children with SEND. So the money's going in, the investment's going in, and we want to deliver the reform to make sure the system is fit for the future.
OK, so we're not clear on whether we are going to scrap the system. But we're having, you're talking there that you're speaking with parents. I've got a view from a parent here who says they've got a daughter with special educational needs. Without the support that she's given at the moment, she would struggle even more at school. What do you say to parents who are parents of children with special educational needs this morning, who are worried and are panicked by these headlines this morning.
Well, that parent sounds just like my sister, who had to fight to get the EHCP for my nephew and then doesn't get the support now he is in school. So we are listening carefully to what parents say to make sure we do everything we possibly can to deliver the right support in the right place. I won't get into the kind of metrics now of how we deliver that. That's for consultation and engagement with parents and many others. We will set out more detail in the white paper later this year, but parents will recognise the system is broken. We want to work with them to get it right for the future.
We're hearing that the government is saying this isn't about saving money, but obviously backbenchers, and we saw them mounting pressure on you last week about welfare reform. Clearly, backbenchers are going to feel like this is the Treasury once again coming here and saying we need to find cuts where we can, even if that is towards children with special educational needs.
Well, all Labour MPs stood on a platform to reform the SEND system. We're working closely with them. There's been lots of debates in Parliament. Bridget Phillipson is listening carefully to what MPs have to say, as am I. It's really clear to me that early identification and intervention on SEND makes a big difference. There's lots we can learn from good practice across the country, in particular in nurseries, and we really want people to contribute to this review to make sure we get it right for the future.
Stephen, thank you very much indeed. We'll leave it there. Stephen Morgan is the Early Years Minister. Thank you.
Well, let us know what you think on that one. gbnews.com/you'll say. Now, at 8:09, there's still plenty of time to... No, 9:08. There's still plenty of time to grab our biggest cash prize so far in the latest Great British Giveaway. It's an incredible £54,321.
And it could be yours.
You have the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just the chance to sit back, relax, and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck.
Yeah, we'll take a break there, and then after that, on this, the 20th anniversary of the 7/7 bombings, we'll be looking back on the day that killed so many people, it injured so many people. We're joined by survivor Dan Biddle.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to him next.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now imagine this. You spend your entire life dreaming of public service. You work your way up to become the Director of Public Prosecutions. You then become a Member of Parliament, and just next to your constituency is a world-famous museum hosting
I'm imagining it, Tom.
waxworks of famous figures, and you think, you dream that one day you will be featured in this mausoleum, for want of a better word. You become Prime Minister, and you think, now Finally, my waxwork will be on display at the world-famous Madame Tussauds. And then they say no.
And then you find out that Theresa May has one.
Oh.
Yes, so Madame Tussauds... There's Theresa May. There she is in her suit.
Yeah,
she was always one for colourful outfits,
Theresa May has a waxwork there, so does Boris Johnson, of course. It's reasonable to expect the Prime Minister would have thought that he would join the likes of David Cameron, Theresa May and Boris Johnson with a waxwork.
Winston Churchill. Yeah. Winston Churchill has one. Harold Macmillan, apparently, was previously displayed. Tony Blair.
Of course.
Tony Blair, of course. But apparently, so Madame Tussauds can't be sure that he'll still be relevant in 5 years' time. That's the reason.
Is that why they've said it? No.
They can't be sure, so they don't want to put the money into it, presumably.
Wow.
I could imagine Keir Starmer commissioning his own.
And yet, Lord Salisbury had a waxwork, the Marquis of Salisbury, Harold Macmillan and David Lloyd George, of course. But the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland...
Think about this.
...does not have a waxwork because he's not relevant.
A spokesperson told the Metro, "We have no current plans to make a figure of the British Prime Minister."
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
The 20th anniversary of the London bombings. With us here in the studio now is Dan Biddle, and Dan was one of the victims of the attack, and he was just, within touching distance from the leading suicide bomber, and when that bomb went off, it killed 6 people.
Yeah, and Dan appeared in the new Netflix documentary, Attack on London, hunting the 7/7 bombers, and we've got a clip of that for you right now.
I could feel somebody staring at me. It was just this really unnerving feeling. It was one of those stares where he didn't blink. He was totally fixated on what was in front of him, almost like he was staring through me. It was that intense. And then I was just about to go like, "Is there a problem, mate? What you looking at?" Just went to open my mouth to say it, and I just see his hand go, and then...
No, that was 20 years ago. You were 26 at the time, Dan. What's it like seeing that and hearing yourself recount it?
It's still really surreal. It's still a kind of strange thought to realise that I was right in the middle of what happened that day. And even though it's 20 years, it still feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
The pain and the emotional torment that goes with that is just as fresh now as when it just happened.
Mm. And when you think back to that morning, because you've written a book about that day and your experience since, you actually were considering not going into work that day.
Yeah, my whole story of 7/7 is what I kind of term as sliding door moments. There's so many opportunities that were presented to me to do something different, or to stick to my normal routine and not step outside of that. And yeah, there's countless times where if I would have made a different decision, then I wouldn't have been on that train at that time. If I'd have got up on time, if I hadn't missed my stop, there's so many things that I can think back on and think, if only I've done this, if only I've done that. But it serves no purpose now because what's happened has happened.
Well, you were horrendously injured, but people died on that bus that day.
Yeah, I mean, from the area of the train that I was on when the bomb went off, I'm the only one that survived. They killed everybody around me. And that's incredibly tough to live with, to know that you survived something that everybody around you didn't. And I was pretty much laying in and amongst dead bodies and body parts for about an hour and 40 minutes before I was taken out the tunnel.
And what do you remember about the murderer, the suicide bomber? Obviously, you were about to say to him, "Have you got a problem? What are you looking at me for?" And he put his hand on this bomb and it exploded. That was him. He was killed. He was out of the picture with that. But what do you remember about seeing him, the man who was setting out to murder people that day?
I think the most terrifying thing about it is just how calm he was. There wasn't a hesitation when he reached for the bag. When he was looking at me, it was as if he was looking through me. And it was all very calculated because he leant forward and looked along the carriage. And when I was interviewed by the anti-terrorist squad a few months later, they basically said he was looking to see where the biggest group of people were in the train. So it was a very evil, calculated act, but there was no fear, there was no hesitation, and the most scariest thing of all was he just looked like everybody else. There wasn't anything about him that I would look at and
say he looks like a terrorist.
Yeah. There was no screaming or shouting or anything like that. It was just a very calm one action, and he was out of the picture, and I've had to live the rest of my life with the consequences of what he did.
Yeah.
The power from the blast, and you described this in the Netflix documentary that I was actually watching last night. You were thrown onto the tracks, weren't you? And you were saved. Tell us about that.
Yeah, because I was stood up, I was stood next to the bomber. When the bomb went off, it blew me through the train doors, so I basically hit the tunnel wall and then bounced back into the crawl space between the tunnel wall and the track, and I kind of landed at an angle. I thought I was going to die. I knew I was seriously injured, and I just started screaming for help. And I just heard this very deep South African accent shout back at me. He shouted, "What's your name?" And I didn't know if he was talking to me or somebody else, but I thought I'm just going to answer it and hope for the best. So I shouted, "It's Dan." He said, "My name's Adrian, keep talking and I'll find you." So where I was kind of tunnel wall side of the track, Adrian was the other side, so that the train was between us. And he had to crawl underneath the train and crawl through God knows what to come out the other side. And he was quite badly hurt as well. He had a severely lacerated head. He dislocated his shoulder and broke 2 ribs. So actually put his shoulder back in place before he crawled under the train to get to me. A truly remarkable human being.
And he pinched your artery, didn't he, to stop you from bleeding?
Yeah, so my left leg was blown clean off and I severed the femoral artery. My right leg from the knee down had been blown around 180 degrees and the bones had snapped and come through the shin. So when Adrian found me, he basically said to me, "I'm not going to lie to you, Dan, this is really going to hurt." And I thought, I've been set on fire, I know I've lost one leg. The pole that I was leaning against, I pulled out of myself, and you're telling me this is going to hurt. And he wasn't wrong, because he basically forced his hand into what was left of the leg, found the artery and pinched it shut.
And the irony of all of this, you're going through this terrible pain and whatever, and for so many people above ground, they had no idea what was going on because what was happening to you was concealed, and no one. It wasn't until the bus blew that people actually realised, you know, the general audience realised what was going on.
Yeah, it's still something that when I was writing the book, I had some photographs taken outside the station to go into the book, and I was sitting in the coffee shop in the entranceway to the station, and you sit there watching people walk past, and you just think you're totally oblivious to the horrors that went on down there and the lives that were lost. And I think for me, I just don't want it to be forgotten. I think it was such a huge event and such a tragedy.
But I was going to ask you that. Do you think it has been forgotten? And do you know, people get on with their lives, life moves on. You know, how do you think we are reminding people today, but then we're all going, 20 years ago, was that 20 years ago? Because we'd forgotten.
Yeah, I think if you look back over the last sort of 10 years since the 10th anniversary, it doesn't get mentioned on the news on the anniversary. No. It doesn't get mentioned in the newspapers. And I think if you look at the way that 9/11's remembered in this country, there's always something on about 9/11. We're constantly reminded about the atrocity that happened out there. And that happened in the States. And yet when it's on our own soil, in our own country, it's almost as if somebody just wants to wipe it from the public psyche, as if, oh, well, let's just make sure we can pretend it didn't happen. For some of us, we can't. We've got to live with that day every single day of the week.
And you've had to live with that day. How was the experience for you writing this book? I can imagine it's very painful, but also very cathartic.
Yeah, I think for me, because of the issues that I've had with complex PTSD and depression and the impact that's had on my life, I wanted to do something to kind of hopefully give a little bit of hope. And I coined the phrase turning trauma into triumph. To go from where I was 20 years ago and the horrendous state I was in to where I am now. And life isn't easy, and I really do struggle with my PTSD, but I'm still here. I'm still incredibly lucky to have a chance at a life. So I wanted to write the book to hopefully, for somebody that's struggling, to read that and go, yeah, there is a way through. With the right support and the right people, I can potentially come through the other side of it.
You're talking there about how personally this affects you, and obviously you can understand that. Do you think, though, do you ever think of the bigger picture, the security picture? Do you ever think that, are we actually a safer country as a result of the awfulness you went through, or does that not bother you?
No, it's on my mind all the time. I mean, after 7/7, me and a lot of other people were calling for a public inquiry. we constantly have that shut down. And I think the reason I don't think London is any safer is because we didn't have the public inquiry. And I think if you jump forward a few years, the shooting of John Charles de Menendez had a public inquiry. The Manchester attack had a public inquiry. Grenfell had a public inquiry. All were absolutely warranted and deserved it. 7/7 was the first attack of its kind in this country. It was the biggest loss of life in a terrorist attack. It was the first suicide attack. And there were clear failings, yet no public inquiry. So nobody has ever been able to turn around and say to me, 7/7 doesn't meet the criteria for a public inquiry, but these do, and this is where the difference is.
What do you think the failings were?
I think they know. I think they know that the intelligence services and the government made a horrendous mistake. I think the naivety and the arrogance of Tony Blair to think that you can go to war in a Middle Eastern country and it not have any repercussions on home soil. I think the fact that when Blair was interviewed, he turned around and said that there is no link between Al-Qaeda and the 7/7 attacks, yet when Khan made his suicide video, he openly states that that is the reason. So you kind of get lied to constantly, and I think that the hope is that you just start believing the lies. Well, some of us won't.
Well, Dan Biddle, thank you so much for coming into the studio and talking to us about your
It is
experience.
just, it's fascinating listening to you and all that you went through. And, you know, it brings me back to where I was. I was on holiday and I was watching this on satellite television and gripped me, and you just couldn't leave the television set, just wondering what was happening next, where the next explosion was going to be and whatever. And yet it was like yesterday, that particular day. Do you think your life stopped that day, or have you been happy enough and successful enough to push things over?
The way I've had to deal with it is the Dan Biddle that I was at 8:52 on the 7th of July 2005 died at 8:52 on the 7th of July 2005, and I've had to reinvent myself, and everything that I was trained to do work-wise I can no longer do. So I've had to kind of start afresh. And I've been incredibly lucky that my wife, Jem, is an amazing support and gets me through so much of it.
Well, listen, you're an absolute credit, and it's really interesting talking to you and hearing all that you have to say. Continue to get well, continue to get better. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And this is the book here, Back from the Dead, The Untold Story of the 7/7 bombings.
OK. Andrew and Bev from 9:30.
Good morning. We're going to be continuing those reflections on events of 20 years ago.
So much.
A little bit of news from America as well,
Thank you for having me on.
which is going to be about the launch of Elon Musk's new party. Will it threaten Donald Trump?
Yeah, and why isn't the King going to be at that commemoration service at St Paul's Cathedral? Let's go to the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, a very good morning to you. This is your GB News weather update provided by the Met Office. Many of us can look forward to a fine and settled week to come with plentiful amounts of sunshine, all courtesy of this area of high pressure that's going to be building in from the Atlantic. It's not quite reached all areas just yet, so there is this lingering weather front across the far southeast of England with some heavy rain first thing. Also, just a few showers pushing through from North Wales, parts of Merseyside, Cheshire region, and a few showers will also generally linger across North Sea coasts. But elsewhere, the sunshine should break through during today, and it will feel relatively pleasant overall compared to the rather cloudy skies we saw over the weekend. Temperatures generally ranging around mid to high teens across parts of Scotland, but we do have quite a brisk northwesterly wind coming in, so it probably will make it feel a touch cooler than what these values may suggest otherwise. But if you manage to get out of the breeze and in that sunshine, it should be pleasant nonetheless. Temperatures further towards the south likely to climb into the 20 degrees of Celsius, around 23 as your highs for Cardiff and London. We could see a few more heavy showers just skirt the east coast of England during this evening and overnight, but otherwise it should stay largely dry for many areas and quite prolonged clear skies. Underneath those clear skies, though, it could be quite a chilly night for the time of year. Rural areas of Scotland may be down into low single figures. Towns and cities generally managing to hold up just in double digits. But that does mean there'll be plentiful amounts of sunshine to start off Tuesday morning as well. Cloud perhaps building for Northern Ireland and the Outer Hebrides with some outbreaks of rain a little later on in the day, and again some showers just lingering around those eastern coastal areas of England. But with lighter winds in that sunshine inland, it will feel really rather nice. Highs now around 25 degrees Celsius in the south. But those temperatures are going to be climbing even further as we head throughout this week, with all of that sunshine close to 30 degrees Celsius later on. Bye-bye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A9 Dornoch Bridge, drivers should be cautious due to strong winds. Roadworks have shut the M4 eastbound between junctions 28 Tredegar Park and 24 Coldra, with diversions in place. In Northamptonshire, the M1 southbound exit slip at junction 15 is partially closed due to a collision, expected to clear by 10. Congestion on the A19 southbound in Stockton-on-Tees may cause 30-minute delays. In Kent, a broken-down vehicle on the A2 westbound has shut one lane, with traffic expected to ease by 9:45 this morning. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Good afternoon, Britain. A cheerful Lollipop man's signature high fives have been stopped in their tracks.
Oh dear. Well, Neil Cotton, believed by local children... sorry. I'll start that all over again. This is a chap called Neil Cotton, and he's beloved by local kids in Howden, East Yorkshire. And he's been told by the council to stop the friendly high-fiving gesture, all in the name of health and safety.
But many parents and motorists are calling it nonsense. No surprises there. So apparently this chap, 57 years old, he spent the last 2 years brightening up the school run in the East Yorkshire town of Howden. There he is, looks like a nice guy, doesn't he? He has a cheerful attitude. He has his signature high fives. The children love it, the parents love it, he loves it. But no, the council says, get on with your job and stop the high fives.
This is the one area of employment where the councillor's trying to chivvy people on and get them to work harder rather than less hard. But I mean, what have we done in this country where we've